Good morning, Raptor freaks. Alexiot's here. It's Friday morning. The Raptors beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Wow. 2-game win streak. Raptors looking good last night. The 1-2 punch of Scottie and Brandon. Woo-wee. It's a nice thing to see. And, well, we'll react to that. I've got my stars of the game. We'll go over the box score. If you want to call me, the phone line is open once again. If you have access to the phone number. If you want access to the phone number, well, you have to become a member of this channel. And then you get access to the Facebook group or the Discord server. And there is where we share this kind of information so that you can actually call me on the show and have your voice over the air. But, that's how you got to do it. That's just the logical way to do it. So, yeah, there's two things going on. We're going to react to the Bucks game last night. And also, I got to do a preview right now for a very important game for Raptors 905. They're going to be playing today at 3:30 in Orlando at the Showcase Cup. And it's a knockout round game, similar to the game that the Raptors played against the Knicks in the last 2 weeks. And it's win or go home. And, this is really important. I sent a message to Coach Andrew Jones through Instagram and said, "Keep going, Coach." And he liked it. So hopefully he's going to be going forward after today, is because this would be crazy. You win first 14 games, get to the tournament, and then you go out in the first round of the knockout because there's 8 teams. It's an 8-team tournament, and that means 3 games to win it. You got to win that first round, the second round, and then that championship round. So, and like I said, I think the games fall out like this over the weekend. Today, Sunday, and then the 2 teams that get the chance to play for the championship have to play immediately on a back-to-back on Monday, I believe. So that's the schedule for it. So we're playing the San Diego Clippers today. And looking at the roster, well, let me tell you who they got, guys. This is who the San Diego Clippers are. They've got Ray J. Dennis. They signed him away from the Pacers recently, and he has been the guy who's scorching for them right now. Ray J is a guy who's spent some time in the NBA, and he's absolutely a baller. So I'm sure, Patrick, I'm sure that we're thinking about him when we're making our game plan today. Is Ray J. Dennis is somebody that very much scheming for at the top of the scout list for sure. Taylor Funk is another guy we should watch out for. He's a very good 3-point shooter out of Utah State, and I've watched him in G League before, and he can get hot. So he's somebody that Andrew Jones and the crew better not lose out there in the mix because he could get fire real quick. The rookie center is on here, Yannick Conan Niederhauser. He has been playing for them recently, who's also on the Clippers. And, well, he's their big center. And so they have a legit center-sized player, which will be a good test for Olivier Sarr and Juju Reese because, Yannick Conan Niederhauser is a player that I actually scouted for the draft earlier this year, and I thought he would be a valid pick for a late second-round pick for center. So we're going to see Conan Niederhauser today, probably, unless he's called up and he's with the Clippers, which wouldn't make any sense since the Clippers are dog shit, and the Clippers in San Diego are playing for something. I'll go over the rest of the names on the team, just in case any of the Raptor freaks have friends from the past that are on the team mysteriously that they didn't know. Matt Olako out of Notre Dame is a guard for them. Patrick Baldwin, who's been around a little bit, out of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. I already said Ray J. Dennis, Taylor Funk, Zach Fremantle, Jalen House, Jordan Miller. I believe was he around the Raptors 905 at one point? I think. Derek Ojbidi, Jason Preston, John Pulakidis, Kobe Sanders, Jamil Telfort, and Ty Washington. Yeah, that's what they're looking like. And they're the 8th seed. There's 8 teams in this tournament. We're the number 1 seed, and they are the 8th seed. They're the team that just barely made this tournament. So we need to kick the San Diego Clippers' ass. I don't care where y'all come from now, whether you're doing Ontario or whatever. You guys keep switching it up so quick. We're the Ontario Clippers. No, we're the San Diego Clippers. I don't give a shit whatever Clippers you are. We're beating your ass this afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, and hopefully the game will be on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it will be, but no guarantees. The NBA can do weird shit at times and be like, no, these aren't on YouTube. I hope they are. They better be for a Canadian viewing audience caring about their Raptors 905 perfect record. The referees for this game, I've got them. I've got them right here. Hang on a sec. Marcy Williams, once again, is our crew chief. We've had Marcy at least twice already. And she actually refereed like 2 games in a row for us. So this is like the 3rd or 4th time we've seen Marcy Williams this season already. She's number 76, and she's in her 2nd season as a non-staff official. She's out of Livingston, New Jersey. Her favorite TV show is Girlfriends. She likes the movie Brown Sugar. She listens to Beyonce. Her favorite book is Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose, which tells me a lot about her, that she's a very astute, smart, happy person. Her favorite meal is soul food. She listens to Apple Music. She'd most like to visit Africa and travel for a year. And her hidden talent is bowling. So she switched it. She's a good bowler. Yeah. Marcy Williams has officiated 5 seasons of the NBA G League and NBA All-Star 2024 in Indianapolis. She refereed the NBA G League Up Next game and the NBA All-Star Celebrity game. So she's one of the senior refs in the NBA G League, and she'll be handling our game as the crew chief this afternoon against Clippers. Ian McClenny is the referee, number 59, and Eric Alig is the umpire, number 4. Yeah, Marcy's great because, well, we've had Marcy a lot of times already this G League season, and, well, we're undefeated. So, yeah, Marcy should be a good, fair ref. That's our ref crew for down in Orlando for San Diego and the 905 today. Yeah, there's your little setup for that game. Yeah, as far as I know, you saw that all the two-ways and Jonathan Mobo were not present in Milwaukee to help the Raptors, so they are all in Orlando and ready to play for Andrew Jones today. AJ Lawson, Jonathan Mobo, Chucky Hepburn, Elijah Martin. So we should be seeing them in action at 3:30. Mobo is in Orlando. Yeah. Of course, the Raptors come back to home and play the Boston Celtics tomorrow. We'll have the preview for that game tomorrow. And as the Raptors go for a 3rd game in a row win. And then they immediately travel on Saturday night to Brooklyn to play the Nets on Sunday. So a little bit of a tough back-to-back, but at least the weaker team is on the second night of the back-to-back with the travel. But that is always a challenge, having to go through the airports in the middle of the night, go through customs, and get into the United States and go to New York for a game next day. And that means a night of no sleep. So sleep up now, Brandon Ingram and everybody else. Get your rest tonight and rest as much as you can today because you're going to have to do a back-to-back this weekend. Yeah, that's what's going on. Let me check in with the chat with you guys and see what you guys are saying right here. Trevor's saying this, your greatest asset is your mind. Trade it to see opportunities, not obstacles. Imagination should be used not to escape reality, but to create it. Man, this is something I'm working on so much right now personally, because I feel like we do really shape our futures. And I don't want to get all pessimistic and negative and doomsday with what I think is going to happen in the future. The future is open-ended. We haven't totally decided the future yet as a humankind, as a humanity. And we could shape it. We don't try and shape it in good ways and think about good things happening or create good things that happen because we came up with it with a positive mind. We could create the opposite. And we don't want to do that. So keep a positive mind and look towards like creative innovations and ideas that can help solve problems that are coming up instead of, let's just think about the problem is coming and it's inevitable and we can't do anything about it. This is really important right now, extremely important, because we're in a time change of eras between the old and the new, and we want to shape the future, the best possible future for the people that are coming after us. Because if we don't do some of the foundational work right now to implement what our values and our ethics and our morals and how we want society to be for everyday people, we are going to get screwed over. And we can't let that happen. So know your worth and fight for it. And also, if you see problems that are coming up on the horizon and you have anything you can do about it, go ahead and make that change or create the positive change that can counteract it. Because this may be some of the most important work that is done in the people that are living in this era right now. The people that are living in this era right now, in some ways, are going to set the tone for the next 300 years of humankind. And we we can't drop the ball on this. There's no do-overs. There's no another game on the NBA schedule where we get to try and reset and make a new game and have a better outcome or a result. We got to do this right the first time because we don't get a second chance. So get up off your ass. And if you think that things are going to go in a bad direction, figure out how you can start working against that to try and make things better for all of us going into the future. Thank you for your words of wisdom, Trevor J. It is on point. And, once again, I'll say, if you're in an icy car on an icy road, you look at the ditch, you go in the ditch. You look in the middle of the road, you keep going down that road. So let's keep our perceptions and our ways of thinking about the world positive, and let's create a positive world into the future. That's it right there. Happy game day, 905. Let's go, 905. That's right. I got my 905 hat on. I got my 905 shirt on, and I got my 905 socks on. That's right. I'm ready to root on our undefeated 14-0 Raptors in 905 today against the San Diego Clippers in the first round of the tip-off tournament in Orlando. Of course, this event is where all the teams in the league get together, the GMs and all the different people are down there. They're going to be wheeling and dealing, talking about trades, talking about possibilities, scouting players on other G League teams and being like, that guy right there. Yeah. And this is where some stuff happens. Things get shook up a little bit. So, yeah, I hope the Raptors and the Raptors 905 have a fantastic tip-off tournament. Bobby Webster, I know you're talking to people. And, well, I trust in Bobby. And I know that Bobby, whatever is coming up with the trade stuff that's coming up this season, I know that Bobby's going to do the best thing for the Raptors franchise when he makes his decisions. That's a nice thing to have. No lie. There's a lot of fan bases and teams and franchises in the NBA don't totally necessarily trust their front office and their people that are making decisions because they have a track record of being like, why did you do this? Or, oh my gosh. So once again, I would tell Raptors fans, we've been very, very lucky and blessed in our front office for a long time now. Pretty much since Masai showed up, we've been great and we've been fine. And we've been an optimal, very good front office. I don't care what spin puts out there, say these guys were horrible, what perspective is saying, they're absolutely lying. And they're just putting out a perception that's absolutely untrue. That the whole entire era of Ujiri with Webster and Webster going beyond Ujiri has been great front office work. And anybody who paints it any other way is just a hater or somebody who's just trying to change the perception about how great our front office has been. Because we're the Canadian team. We can't miss on decisions. We can't have busts. We can't do things in certain ways because we are at a detriment in some ways where we're not going to be totally getting the best free agents and this and that and this. And in some ways, we got to work it the way we have to make ourselves good. And the fact that we have been contending and coming up each time, even when they sewer us and put us down, shows exactly how badass our front office is at analyzing talent, getting really good players here in draft, and developing them to the highest extent. Our track record is immaculate and impeccable because we have so many good players that came through the Raptors system that are draft picks, that are high-level, high-paid players and franchise players for teams right now. So, yeah, we must be doing something right in Toronto, and I never get the derisiveness and the critique of Bobby Webster and Masai before him for the decisions they made. Oh, Masai's good, but he's washed after the championship. Don't give me that shit. We had a number one guy who never really wanted to stay here, obviously, because Fred has put it out there that they knew, and Nick Nurse said the same thing before, that Kawhi was one and done, and he wasn't going to be here any long. How are we supposed to maintain that same level when the guy who's the finals MVP is going to up and walk out on us? And then we have our best record as a franchise ever after he's gone, and then there's a global pandemic. And then we have to relocate and play a whole damn season in Florida. So it's like, look, casuals, you go ahead and say that Bobby was washed or Masai was washed after the championship. You aren't reading the fucking terrain of what they had to go through with the team and how they kept that ship steady, going through some crazy shit. And I'll tell you right now, if it was the Charlotte Hornets or any Washington Wizards or a lot of these other teams in the league that had to go through what we had to go through, they'd be toxic, dysfunctional, and all fucked up. for decades, not for just a year or two like we were. So I want people to understand this right now. Bobby Webster is one of the best damn GMs in this league. And don't listen to any ESPN rankings. They're putting him at 21 right now. Fuck all that bullshit. Because what other team had to go and play a whole 82 in Tampa, Florida? Nah. And all the other different underlying things that the Raptors have to deal with. In fact, there's evidence of ref manipulation, and NBA storylines want to be written, and it makes the loss to the Mavericks at the beginning of the year look all the more clear. The NBA desperately wants to help Adelson and her fucked up team, the Mavericks. In some ways, they desperately wanted to help Nico Harrison keep his job because they knew that they were doing him wrong by forcing him to trade Luka to the Lakers. And then they turned around and gave them a first pick, not only in the NBA, but in the WNBA even. They're making up for there too. And well, you know, the refs have been very kind to the Mavericks, but they suck and they're horrible. But what happened this week? Well, they went up against the best team in the East, the Detroit Pistons, the best record in the league. And what did the refs do? John Goebel, ref manipulation. He absolutely sewered and screwed over the Detroit Pistons in this week, and they have a way better record than the Mavericks, and just it's on display right there. NBA storyline: the Mavericks, we can't have them sewering so bad. This Cooper Flag, this is marketing, man. We need to make sure he's good so that we can make money off of him. He's not good. We're not winning with Dallas. He can't be put on the spotlight. We can't put Dallas in the forefront because they're a shitty team. Well, what do? We want to show them on national television because of Cooper Flag. We got to help them. We got to enhance them. We got to do shit with fucked up calls. And you can go ask Pistons Freak right now how they feel about John Goebel. You can go ask the Detroit fans how they feel about the NBA and how they, Bickerstaff, JB Bickerstaff Jr., he just came in and he said, like, look, they wanted me to, he didn't say this exactly. He said, look, you're not trying to help us. And they've been doing this for a while. And they did the same damn thing to the Raptors during the 9-game win streak. You know that. The refs were hurting us. And we were 8 versus 5 in a lot of games. And that's how badass and powerful the Raptors were. And the Pistons. Because the Pistons going through the same damn thing. They're doing 8-on-5 versus them too. And it caught up with them. And they got an overtime loss hung on them against the Dallas Mavericks. It don't take too much to see the truth in this. And you can call me a conspiracy theorist, but Terrence Ross told me himself on his Twitch stream one day when he's playing WWE video games. Yeah, Raptors Freak. The NBA writes storylines because they want to prop up and they want to have stories and stuff like that. They do. We know they do. And right now they're trying to help a fucked up franchise called the Dallas Mavericks win games because they can't and they're not that good. That's a great thing, man. Truth comes out. Truth hits everybody, Sting. That's right. It hits everybody, and they see the truth. And it's like you can build perception. You can build storylines. You can build what you want to fucking see, NBA. But it ain't going to be what you get all the time because basketball is real. And when you play basketball, sometimes that team is just a destiny to beat that team, even if you don't want that to happen. And that's why I say practice and play your hardest and do everything right. And you will have to go up against insurmountable odds, Scottie Barnes. But you can overcome them. You can. The Raptors won their championship in 2019. And there are games this year that you won where the script wasn't supposed to go that way. And y'all forced it and took it for the Raptors. Now, when you get tired, it's harder to go up against 8 versus 5, isn't it? Yeah, that's what we found out this year. That's right. That's right. Seymour's here. What pop, family? What up, Sheriff Seymour Pape? Good to hear from you this morning. Kareem's here. Let's see what Kareem's saying. I'm going to need to change my emotions on Oshai because he is a good player. And if we kind of hide him in the corners, he can shoot on attack the rim, which are his two strengths. He's a piece on a championship team. Yeah, I like this. I like this change of opinion on him. We saw some very useful things from Oshai in the starting lineup. He is, once again, when he starts, he can be a solid starter. You know, you're going to get contributions from him, even if he doesn't give you a bunch of offense. You know he's going to be playing a dogged defense, a physical defense, an on top of things defense. And, well, he's always a threat in transition to be a great lane filler. And also, if he's always a threat, they're going to leave him open in the corner. He's going to hit that three. And he does attack the rim. That's why I didn't understand why people were saying, oh, he's soft. He's a finesse player. No, that man goes into the fire and tries to go to that rim and take heads sometimes. And I'm glad to hear you changing your opinion on him. In some ways, his value is important right now for multiple reasons. Because in some ways, look, Baji, you can't lose if you try and all out and you look good. Either you're going to look really good and the Raptors are going to figure out that you're irreplaceable and you can't go anywhere, and they invest in you and they put an extension on you and they say, yeah, we want to keep Oshai because we see the value in him and we think this is a fair price and we want to keep him around. Or you build your value up to a higher level and you look so good that other teams are calling us for you. And around the trade deadline, you get sent to somewhere that's really a great place for you. I mean, would you want to go back to Milwaukee and help out the Bucks? That's where you're from. You were born in Milwaukee. You want to go home and play the RJ hometown hero for the Bucks? You know, that could be a possibility. And either way, what's the most important thing? He's a young man who has a young family. You get paid. That's what I say right there, Oshai. Get paid. And you don't help yourself with getting paid if you're slumming, if you're playing like dog shit. No, you got to go all out. Do it for Avery. That's right. Do it for your little baby. And that's it. That's it right there. That's it right there. It's that simple. It's like, don't fake the funk. Go out there and put your best foot forward and kick some ass, because even if you look so good that they're going to trade you because of cap reasons, it's going to all work out for you anyway, because you are pure and true about your intentions and what you do, and that is to improve as an NBA player. Right there. That's it right there, my guys. Because I'll tell you right now, a lot of Raptor fans are probably saying, yeah, we need to keep Oshai and let's not hang on to those other guys that play his position that are around him right now. You know, some people are looking that way. It's like, look, Oshai kind of, he's playing really solid. What are these other guys doing? I mean, even Battle made himself look bad last night. Jameson, don't go the way of Grady and Jacoby right now, man. You can't be doing this. You were a sure shot. And that's what I was saying. We could play Battle more after his exemplary shooting against Cleveland earlier this season. But what if this happens? Like what happened last night? He comes out and he misses every open three he gets. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem right there. That's right. Seymour saying, I'm big, 416-647. Salute 905. There you go. There you go. There's no burbs battle between the ends and the 905 when this is like this. No. There's no East versus West in the GTA when you talk about Scarborough, Mississauga. Not on this one. No. We come together for a 14-0 team. A Raptors 905 team that is a team of destiny to win, and more wins. Mike Roach recently had Quincy Guerrier on the Mike Roach show this week, and they were talking about the success of the 905 and how it goes about. And Quincy, I learned so much about Quincy in this interview. And, in some ways I feel for the guy. He's playing for his daughter, and he's kicking so much ass, and he's just doing what he can. And he's very realistic. He doesn't know if he'll make the NBA. He doesn't know if he'll ever play in the NBA, but he has that open window and open mind to go and make money in Europe if he has to. But yeah, Quincy, you just keep going, man. You're a great team guy. I love you on Team Canada. I love you on Montreal Alliance, and I love you on Raptors 905. And he's very open about the secrets of success for the 905 is that Coach Andrew Jones is very organized and very stern and very on top of things. And also that the guys are a good group of guys, that they, like the Raptors, get along and really like each other. And there's good role players that know their roles, and people know what they're supposed to be doing with the 905. And in some ways, they're very confident right now, too, because they've been winning so much. And Quincy said, like, when we go into games right now, we know we need to win. And they even talked about the game where they were down 21 at the half and how they reacted to it and came back and won in the second half. So, yeah, the 905 are a serious team. They're a real team, which is not always the case in the NBA G League, because a lot of times those teams are very selfish for selfish personal reasons, obviously, because they're so close to getting the NBA, and sacrifice for the team is not often. As Quincy said, the Raptors 905 have guys on their bench that could be starting for other G League teams, like Jarkel Joyner for sure. And, they've accepted their role on this team because they want to be a part of something winning. And in some ways, maybe they get even more of a spotlight and a chance to get in. Even if you're not starting Jarkel, you may have a better chance to get in the NBA through the 905 system and where your role is with this than starting for the Skyhawks and scoring 30 every game. because this team is winning, and this team could win the Showcase Cup tournament. And wow, you guys will look real good for it. You look real good for it. Yeah, 3:30 is the tip-off time. It'll hopefully be on YouTube. If it is, I'll be in the chat there live if you guys want to hang out with me during that. That's right. That's right. So yeah, there's a little bit more on that there. Fiercey's here. Good morning, fam, and happy Friday. Bucks were extremely physical. Kudos to Turner and KPJ, but we prevailed and fought through the sus ref calls. Yeah, I don't even think the refs were that sus. They were maybe sleeping for the first half. I mean, I think it's hilarious that we went the whole first half before we got a free throw attempt. And that was something that was like, let me talk about why that happened right now. Mark Lindsay's a good ref. Mark Lindsay means well. Mark Lindsay is by the book. And in some ways, all the challenges and everything he did right. There wasn't anything weird about the refs last night in some ways. Now, sometimes the refs have two kind of settings. It's call calls or don't call calls at all. It's like red light, green light, like the kids game, when you run across the field. Red light, run. Green light, don't run. I mean, green light, run. Red light, don't run, And well, the refs will kind of manipulate the game on the down low with different periods of time where they'll call whistles or not. Well, they obviously didn't want calling whistles for the Raptors in the first half because they did it. And, some people in the announce crews were saying, oh, the Raptors weren't attacking the rim, weren't going to the basket. That's why they didn't get any free throw attempts in the first half. That's bullshit. And Darko called it out in the interview after the game. He said, they asked him, what did you adjust at halftime to get free throw attempts? He said, nothing. We didn't do anything different in the first half from the second half at all. You tell me. I'm just as mystified as you as to why we didn't get any free throw attempts in the first half, and then all of a sudden just a deluge of them. It's as simple as this. Mark Lindsay finally woke up and said, oh, shit. Scottie Barnes just shot the first free throw for the first time for the Raptors this game. And he's like, oh, fuck, this is going to look bad. So in the third quarter, him and Jenna and Ashley decided to call for the Raptors for a while. And that was fantastic because they evened it out really fast in the third quarter. And they knew it was going to look really biased and bad if they didn't give us any free throws the whole entire game. So they kind of overdid it. Refs aren't perfect. Refs are trying to do a good job. And they're goofy, man. They are goofy. Like, it's so funny to watch refs and their behavior. If you're really watching them, not many people can watch the refs and the game at the same time. It's a lot to take in. And, well, I do that. I do that. I pay attention to every call that's made, and I see who calls it. And I also pay attention to the type of play and whether it's a 50-50 call and whether the referee is calling it for the Raptors or against the Raptors. I'm paying attention to all this shit. When they do the challenge calls, I'm often predicting the challenge correctly before they announce what it is, because I'm reading the play like a ref would, like the replay center would. And I say, yeah, that's that, and that, because I know the NBA rules with refereeing very well. And, I'm pretty right. Like, you can ask people that watch the game with me or people in the chat. When the challenge is going on, Lex is probably predicting the challenge outcome right. And like I said, Mark Lindsay's a fair ref. He was fine last night. I'm not going to paint them with a picture like that. If he was such a bad ref, he would have stopped us from winning last night. And he didn't do that. He didn't do that. So I don't come after the refs unless there's a very good reason. And there was a good reason in Charlotte earlier this season with Mark Davis. Very much was a good reason there. He manipulated that game just to give the Hornets a slither of a chance to get into overtime to beat us at home in that game that ended our win streak. So we got to pick and choose when we do this. We can't come at the refs every single game. It's silly. It's stupid. And if we win, I have no problem with the refs. That's my whole basic philosophy right there. If we don't win and it's very close and it seems like the refs had a factor in diverting the game to the other people, like what happened with the Detroit Pistons and the Dallas Mavericks in overtime and in the last couple of days, then I'll say something. But I'm not going to be the boy who cried wolf and say, oh, the refs are so horrible. The refs are so horrible. That ref crew was fine. In fact, that ref crew was exactly kind of what I thought they would be like. Jenna is still a rookie. But she was fine. I don't trust Ashley at all. Ashley is the protege of Scott Foster, just so y'all know. Ashley Moyer Gleish or whatever her name is, her idol is Scott Foster. And she's literally under his wing and learning from him. Like, she idolizes Scott Foster. Just so y'all know. I know the refs really, really well. I know all this kind of shit. So that's what I say about it. That ref crew was fine. It's just they forgot to call fouls for us in the first half. And then they said, oh shit, we better give some foul shots to the Raptors. And they made up for it. And we ended up getting more foul shots than the Bucks by the end of the game. So it's only a problem if they absolutely have a factor in determining the game against us. Then I'll call it out. But I can't do it on this. We won this game and we cruised to this victory. It wasn't even really that close. The Bucks were kind of close. I wasn't worried about it because honestly, look, what did they have? They had Kevin Porter Jr., who's kind of he's a hooper. He's a scorer, but he's not totally the most disciplined guy in some ways in his life. And in some ways, it's like, look, I've even thought that Kevin Porter Jr. was just barely 1 foot out the league because of some things that happened with him in the last couple of years. And then you got Bobby Portis stepping up and being their second best scorer, their best scorer. Honestly, he was their leading scorer, Bobby Portis. So I wasn't worried because in some ways the Bucks are all fucked up without Giannis. And Doc Rivers knows it. You can see it all over his face. And he looked really sad at the end of the game. Let's just put it that way. Doc Rivers looked really sad. There you go. So we went buck hunting, and the Raptor ate up that buck. That's right. That's right. I see it right there. See, we're saying Minnesota owed that to Kevin Garnett. Yeah, I heard something. I read a headline just now that the Minnesota Timberwolves have hired Kevin Garnett to be an ambassador for their team or something like that, or a mentor or something. I mean, in some ways, that's been a weird relationship because obviously Kevin leans really heavy into his Celtics championship and his time with that team. That I'll bet some people in Minnesota are kind of like pissed, or it's a tough situation. Some of the Minnesota vibes towards Kevin Garnett are similar to the vibes that we have for Vince Carter. Kind of like, yeah, you just kind of ran out on us and like you turned your back on us and stuff. And it's easy for Kevin Garnett to forget the very long career he had in Minnesota and dote on the very successful part of his career in Boston. So it's good to see a healing here. It is because a franchise like Minnesota doesn't have a whole lot of very important players in their history that are on a huge level. And Kevin is probably the most important Timberwolf ever in their history. And him not being a part of their team or embracing it or being around it is a travesty. It's a travesty for the fans of Minnesota, and it's a travesty for Garnett himself. So I do like to see this healing, and I do like to see this come together like this. I mean, the storyline for so long was he'll never win in Minnesota. You got to get out of there. You got to get out of there. It's very similar to Lillard in Portland. And, well, he did. He successfully got out of there and did get the championship ring that he soughted. But in some ways, it's like there's also a whole thing about being such a hero for a franchise like Dame Lillard for Portland, like Garnett for Minnesota for so long. Yeah, there's something special about that too. And man, if they could all be like Giannis and stay on that one team and get a championship with that team, like Giannis did for Milwaukee, that's ideal. But Garnett wasn't going to get a championship with the Timberwolves. So you knew that. And just like you're sure that Lillard's probably never going to get a championship with the Trailblazers either. So it's just part of it. You're right, right? Fiercely saying this: Bucks Nation is in shambles due to recent 3-12 record. I've read comments and many want Doc Rivers fired. Well, honestly, I wouldn't do that because you know what? I would have said fire Doc Rivers 2 years ago. And in fact, I thought y'all would after you got Adrian Griffin out there and Doc came in as an interim. I was like, man, he won't stick around. But I guess Doc likes the job of coaching Giannis. And then when Darvin Ham came from the Lakers back to the Bucks, I was like, well, they'll just fire Rivers and they'll put Darvin in the spot that they wanted Darvin to have the whole time. I mean, that is the case. In some ways, Doc Rivers is a fall guy ready to be fallen at any time and be a scapegoat, and Darvin Ham will jump into his coaching spot right then. But they're friends, and in some ways they work well together. Darvin has a lot of respect for Doc, and he's not trying to push him out, even though in some ways the detour that Darvin Ham did with the Lakers kind of fucked up the timing with how they wanted to hire him originally as the coach. Originally as coach. Now they did AD dirty. They absolutely did Adrian dirty. They really, really did. And well, I mean, I wouldn't blame Doc Rivers for what's happening right now, Box Nation. I would blame your front office. I blame the people that gave you such a shitty roster this year. I blame them because honestly, they're the people that are going to get you in trouble with losing Giannis eventually if they don't improve the team. And he's been very open about that. He's been very much saying, and I tell you right now, they did a horrible job this offseason. I'm telling you right now, this team that you guys have is sucks. And that's who you should be mad at is the front office, not necessarily your coach. And I don't often stand up for Doc Rivers. I'm going to say that right now. You could easily come after him, Bucks Nation, and scapegoat him, but it's not his fault. It's your front office's fault. Your front office has been shitty for a couple years now. And it's evidenced by things like what they did to Adrian Griffin and other things like that. Like, they're really not smart with your assets and moving them around. And you guys are not developing any young players at all in Milwaukee. You guys have nobody coming up in some ways. You can say AJ Green. Okay. He's coming up a bit. Ryan Rollins is coming up a bit now. Maybe there's a couple of guys coming up now, but for a long period of time in recent years, y'all were stagnating with your development and nobody new and young was sticking and hanging around and playing for your team. So that's a bit of it right there. Yeah. Yeah. G's saying this. Everyone make sure you vote All-Star. That's right. Keep voting All-Star. Vote for Scottie and Brandon and RJ and Emmanuel and Jakob and any of the other Raptors if you feel like it. Vote for SGA. Vote for your Canadians on the West Side. That's what I usually do. Or former Raptors. You want to vote for Jonas Valanciunas? You go ahead. DeMar DeRozan. Any of those guys. You can vote for any of them. Go vote for them today. That's right. That's right. G's saying this. Ingram had a few choices for teams, and he chose the Raptors. You made the right one, baby. Just like Ray Charles in that old Pepsi commercial. You got the right one, baby. No, he doesn't regret it. In fact, Brandon in his interview after the game was effusive about Darko. He said he's the best coach he's ever had in the NBA for communication. He said that straight up. And he said that he's never been on a team in the NBA that's like the Raptors, that is just run like the way they are. This is all very high compliments, seriously. Because, I mean, I can see it with New Orleans, but the Lakers, he's talking about the Lakers too, guys. And I knew that, honestly. He said Darko calls him on the phone. He talks to him at practice. He's constantly communicating with them, and he values that. You know, that's a really good strategy of Darko is to keep engaged with his players and know what's going on with them at most times and show that he cares. Because in some ways, that's part of how you get these players to go above and beyond with their effort when you ask them to do a crazy ass defensive scheme that makes them go really burst some energy. So it's like, look, Brandon loves it. He made the right decision. And now we know that Rich Paul probably told him to go to Toronto too. Now we know because that's the joke on the Unguarded is like Fred saying that Rich loves Toronto. And when Fred was trying to make a decision between Toronto and Houston, Rich was telling him to stay in Toronto, which is crazy to me. I love it. So maybe in some ways, I like you guys were telling me to respect Rich Paul and his journey from selling T-shirts and jerseys to where he is now. You know, all right. You're a stand for Toronto on the down low, Rich Paul. All right. Now I'm understanding why we always have a clutch guy on the Raptors right now. This makes me feel better and stuff like that. Seriously. In some ways about clutch, and maybe I'll lay off of them just because Rich Paul's saying his favorite city is Toronto. So yeah, that's part of it. But I mean, how's it not hard to see the year that Kawhi had when he came here and how Dr. Alex kept them in good shape? And he, a lot of people say that Kawhi's career year was in Toronto. His best year of his entire career was in Toronto because it was just a perfect outcome. It's like a perfect fit. In some ways, if he stayed another year and we hadn't been as successful, it might have ruined the feel of Kawhi Leonard's one and done with the Toronto Raptors. So Brandon can see that and he can extrapolate for himself. Like, well, look at how they kept Leonard healthy. Look at how successful they were. Look at the coaches. Look at this and look at that. Look at the front office. Look at the players that are already on the team. Yeah, this decision was pretty easy in some ways. I would like to see the teams he was considering otherwise. I don't know which ones they are. And I'll be like, yeah, you totally made the right decision, Brandon. Totally made the right decision. That's right. That's right. Seymour saying this. I hope Mark Tavares and Mugabe is okay. 142 accidents in 3-hour stretch. Yeah, you guys are having some weather conditions, some weather events. That's what they call them, weather event. There's a weather event in Calgary, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, be careful. If there's driver advisories where they telling you don't drive because there's a whiteout, don't do it. Don't do it unless you absolutely have to because you're essentially having to go to work or essentially having to go to this. Seriously, pay attention to this shit. I know we get all cocky as Canadians and say, oh, it's not that cold. Oh, there's not that much snow. Oh, no, seriously, don't try Mother Nature because Mother Nature is more powerful than any of us, and Mother Nature can crush us. So we need to be respectful of weather conditions and listen to the advisories. They're doing stupid shit down in the States, like getting rid of weather warnings. Yeah, this is totally the wrong time to do this, you dumbasses. Climate change is real, and there are going to be more and more weird weather effects happening. And meanwhile, y'all are going to get rid of your early prediction people because you're so against climate change and you don't want people to register it or monitor it or anything. You can't just do this. Put your ears like this and say, I'm not listening. I'm not listening. Okay, there's a tornado in Oklahoma and trailer parks run through. Nobody knew it and they all died because nobody told them because you cut funding to the weather advisory boards. Like, does that make any fucking sense? No, because they don't live in a reality. They live in a fucked up, like, I'm a rich person. I just care about this and this. Oh, that happened to a trailer park. I don't care. Well, I hope that fucking tornado comes through Mar-a-Lago is what I'm going to fucking say to y'all. Seriously, a big old hurricane comes through and a storm surge just whoosh, wipes that fucking place off the map of the earth. Yeah, seriously, there's God's wrath for you. It's just like ball don't lie, basketball gods. Well, can we get that on that level of the big storm systems and say weather don't lie? The weather gods are going to come and show you and teach you a lesson for not respecting Mother Nature. So I say, if your government or your weather advisory, we have this in Canada, thank God, is telling you don't drive, don't drive. That's what I say right there. That's what I say right there. Don't drive, Albertans, in some areas right now. That's right. What is that? I've never seen that. That's like a Chinese mask. That's crazy, Blackhawk. That's an interesting intro. He's coming in with that's a crazy mask or some sort of monster or something like that. That's pretty cool, man. What the hell? Oh, it's a devil kind of thing? Whoa, you're messing with me now. You're messing with me with that, man. My guy. Oh my gosh. Seymour's saying this. OKC versus Indiana, yeah. Was very entertaining last season for the finals. But seeing San Antonio versus New York seemed very storyline finish manipulated by the league. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know for sure. Now, we know that if they do have a storyline, they try and enact it in the last 5 minutes. That's why you want to get that lead. And the Knicks, they pulled out the lead in the last 5 minutes. And, well, the NBA wanted that, so they ensconced it. I don't know. You got to go above and beyond, Wemby. This is maybe some of the lessons you haven't learned that Scottie Barnes has been learning already. If it's 8 versus 5 and the NBA wants to write a storyline that the Knicks are the Cup champions, you better fucking go above and beyond if you want to stop that. You may need to do some thunder shit, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, just understand the lay of the land, young Victor, because in some ways your trials and tribulations and tests in the NBA have not been on a huge competitive level yet because the Spurs have not been a playoff team. And, well, you're going to have to learn how it gets even tougher at the higher levels, not just from the competition, but from the storylines they may want to write, is what I'm saying right there. Yeah, you better know what you're up against and don't whine and complain about it because it's just how it is. And it's like, oh, well, they're so biased and all this stuff. I don't even want to watch. Listen, I just look at it as a higher and tougher challenge. And that when you overcome it, you feel even more accomplished. That's what I'm saying. In life, there's people out there that don't have all the privileges in the world and they go above and beyond and they're succeeding anyways. And the Raptors have been like that in the past. In 2019, we could do it again. We could do it again. Throw all that shit at us, Adam Silver. That's what we do because Masai Ujiri set the culture and Bobby Webster's still running the show. And we're going to go through it all if we have to. We'll get there again. Masai believes in us, and I believe in what Masai said, that Toronto's too good a city not to win again. And we will win again someday. So get ready, Raptor fans, because we come in there with Scottie Barnes. That's what I'm saying right now. That's right. Neil's saying this. Remember, Ingram is clutch. Remember, clutch is probably Raptors because Rich Paul is no fool. Toronto is a preferred destination for clutch, which is why OG left clutch. Well, that's what I'm saying. It was revealed, Fred revealed that when he was in negotiations that summer and thinking about taking the big money from Houston, that clutch president Rich Paul was advising him to stay in Toronto. That's a bombshell to me. That's amazing. And I know it's true because Fred VanVleet said it. And he said that Rich Paul's favorite city is Toronto. And that, that then they joked that William Lou joked with him and said, well, that's why Brandon's on this team then. Now, Brandon's very happy. I know because I talked to his dad about it. His dad has said that Brandon extremely happy being on the Toronto Raptors and that, his life has just gotten so much better since he's come to our team. Seriously. And now that he's playing a lot and he's leading the league in minutes and he's getting to do his dream, or what he wants to do is play in the NBA and not sit around in street clothes, he's even more happy. He was already happy last season before he started playing because he saw the professionalism, he saw the communication, he saw what Darko was doing. And now that he's involved in it and he gets to be in the middle of it and he gets to feel winning with it, oh, yeah. Brandon Ingram's real happy he chose Toronto Raptors to be on that team. Oh, yeah, he did. Oh, yeah, he is. He is, for sure. Fiercely saying basketball is real indeed. Ball don't lie. That's right. That's right. In some ways, you can shortcut it. You can shortcut it all you want, Brooklyn Nets, with a crazy big three. You can shortcut it. There's been all kinds of shortcut, but the shortcut doesn't work in the NBA. You got to cook this right. You want championship like the Nuggets? You want championship like the Bucks? You want championship like the Raptors? You got to build the work into it and build that franchise up over years. There's no home run savior that's going to come into any team and just instantly put you in a championship. No, that doesn't how that worked. You got to gel and you got to have time for it to take. And there's no shortcuts in the NBA. And too many teams have been trying to do shortcuts because fan nations are impatient. Fan nations want to microwave chips. And you know what? Those chips don't taste good when you microwave them. So you better get that crock pot out and slow roast that motherfucker. Because that's the way. That's the only way to do it in this league. And Oklahoma City is another great example of building up a team and a franchise to get to that point and not taking no shortcuts. That's the thing. Clippers want to take shortcuts. The Sixers want to take shortcuts. Knicks want to take shortcuts. Well, you get what you get when you try and do shortcuts in the NBA. That's what I'm saying right here. That's right. Neil's saying Oshai is still a finesse player. His first attempt at the bucket was all finesse, and it didn't work. The next attempt was a direct attack, which worked. He is better with direct attacks. No. And I'm not going to argue with you today, Neil, about semantics. You go ahead and have that opinion. He's one of the most physical players on a roster, and I'm not going to fucking argue with you about this. All right? All right, here we go. Fiercely saying this. Salute to fellow Haitian from Montreal, Quincy Guerrier. Yeah. The thing that he revealed is that he has a daughter that's like 2 years old, and she lives in the States, and he doesn't get to see her. And because like Mike Roach asked him, what's the biggest sacrifice you made for your basketball career? And he's like, I don't get to see my daughter, and I want to. Now he's estranged with the mother of the baby, but he FaceTimes the baby all the time. And of course the baby's really young, and like he's just missing those years. And in some ways it's like, what do? You got your basketball career. You're trying to get further in it. You're playing for CBL. You're playing for G League. You're playing for Team Canada. You're doing different things in your basketball career, and it puts you all over the place. But in some ways, also at the same time, there's a little girl that you love so much and you wish you could be with all the time. That's the tear. That's the pull with Quincy Guerrier. That's the pull right there. And, getting the FaceTime with her and seeing her, and, he's just really happy, to have a daughter. And in some ways also, it's like he's excited to see her grow up. But, man, that's got to be heart-wrenching and tough. But this is what Daddy does. Daddy's a professional basketball player. And Daddy has to be on the road to go and take care of things. And I'm sure Scottie says the same thing to Millie. That's what I say right there. Yeah, that's what I say right there. That's right. That's right. Let's see. KT saying my home phone starts with 905. No one could ever question my fandom of this team here in Saga. That's right. Well, you need to get down to the arena and watch a game. I'm so proud I was part of this historic 14-game win streak, going to the second game of the year when they were 1-0. I came in and saw the second win of the year and the win streak. They were 2-0 afterwards. And I know our friend Naco the Nacho came down there and he got to see one of the games in the streak too. In some ways, this historic streak, it was a great thing to attend to. Kareem, you live down the street. You better go down there and see a 905 game soon. This is what I'm saying, man. You need to be in the arena. You live in the neighborhood of the arena. You should be down at Paramount Fine Food Center often. You want to dunk for him? That's right. All right, we'll do that. Kaz wants a dunk for Kareem. I'm all about that. There's an assist right there. See, we sometimes we'll do these assists. And look at that. Kareem is at 308 now. 308 on the dunk charts. He's leading still, and it's going to be close at the end. Isaac is very close, and Seymour too. But it looks like Kareem may hold his lead till the end of the month when we switch the calendar to 2026. That's when the dunk competition ends at the end of the calendar year. And, well, Kareem's won the first 2 years we've done this. This will be the third year. He'll be a 3-time dunk champion if he wins it at the end of the month this month. Good morning, everyone from Kaz. Good to see Kaz. TGIF, Kaz. Fiercely saying this, agree with Seymour. Spurs were not successful, and Wemby's family struggle probably impacted his game, but make no mistake, the Knicks were favored. Yeah, that's what you guys got to realize. And the guys on the inside know it. Like the Raptors that won the championship, they knew this shit. Kyle Lowry, Nick Nurse, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam. We knew this shit. In some ways, that's part of the reason why some people say, oh, nobody wants to play in Toronto, because they know the refs will not give you a favorable whistle in Toronto, and you'll get a favorable whistle in New York, OG. So it's like, it's insidious. In some ways, that's part of the way that they say, yeah, you guys can't get any free agents up here. You can't get any good players on your team, because on the down low, a lot of players in the league know that when you come to Toronto, that's the harder route to go in your career, because you're not going to get it all laid out like a red carpet, like a Celtic or a Laker would. And that's something that's really is a problem in this league. The parity is good. The fact that most teams have a chance because the salary cap structure and the competition's way better than ever, and dynasties don't seem to be a thing anymore is good. But still, there's not parity in referee calls. Let's just put it that way. There's not parity in that. That's what I'll say right there. That's right. That's right. Seymour's saying this, dunk champ, fantasy champ, and eye candy. There you go. You're seeing everybody here. We got KT, we got Kaz, and we got Fiercey is who he's calling out right here. And there's the Canadian flag too. I love it. That's right. Elbows up. Stargate saying, damn, Ashley is fine. This guy's having trouble. He's distracted by the referee, Ashley Moyer Gleish. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to look at the referees as objects like that. But Stargate likes Ashley. That's right. Luca's crush. Didn't she have a crush on him? Like, wasn't there some sort of video of like her like losing her mind or something, like spacing out because she was just staring at Luca? Like, I think there was some sort of video like that where it's like Ashley's looking at Luca like he's a piece of meat. I think that's what it was. Wasn't it that? Or is Luke? No, Luca's married. I don't know if Luca's into Ashley, but I think Ashley's into Luca, is what I would say. Kareem's saying this, Kevin Garnett is my favorite NBA player of all time. I never said best. I said favorite. You guys should see his interview with him and Bill Russell. Tears, man. Man is passionate. Yeah, I mean, that's part of why he's ensconced with the Celtics, is because he understands the history of the Celtics really well. And his chapter in the Celtics was really good for Celtics fans because they hadn't won in so long. And, that was really a joyous time with him and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen and that trio winning that championship with the Celtics, and Doc Rivers even too, right? He was the coach, wasn't he? Yeah, I mean, and Bill Russell's an icon and always will be. Bill Russell is one of the greatest ever. And rest in peace, Bill Russell. We love you, man. We still love you down here. I'm not a Celtics fan, but I respect and love Bill Russell immensely as an NBA fan. That's right there. Kareem saying, Stargate, is she finer than Kia Nurse? All right, guys, we're not going to do like the hot women around our Raptors team power rankings. We're not going to do this, y'all. It's demeaning. And I'm going to be covering the WNBA Toronto Tempo soon. And so it's like this kind of stuff is locker room talk. I mean, it's tacky. And in some ways, if you guys want to thirst for women in this kind of way, that's fine. I'll read the comments, but you will get my opinion like this, that we don't need to do this, because I don't want to do it myself, because in some ways it's like, it's demeaning. These are just women doing their job. Let's just put it that way. Kia Nurse is fantastic at her job. I love that she's got that new toy where she can really show like the things about the game in motion with the telestrator and like the little iPad she's got. And she'll never give it to Leo Routins. That's right. Never, ever, Leo. You don't get your hands on that. That's right. Neil's saying this, Bucks need assets more than a new coach. Doc will retire to save face. Yeah, I don't even know if Doc Rivers will ever retire. Seriously. That man don't seem like he's retiring anytime soon. When did he start coaching? He started coaching almost around the turn of the century. It's like 25 years in or something like that. I don't know, man. I don't see Doc retiring. I thought that the game had left him behind, but then Adrian Griffin got railroaded out like in a really fucked up way, and he had to jump in as an interim, and now he's stuck on there because in some ways there were a lot of murmurs that the game had passed Doc Rivers, and he is not a no good effective coach at this point because the game had changed too much since when he had coached earlier, and he hadn't adjusted. But I don't know. He's still surviving around. He can be a scapegoat. That's for damn sure. He can be a scapegoat this year if they want to. But I'm going to say it once again, the real problem in Milwaukee is the front office. It's right there, man. It's right there. Kareem saying Bucks won't win again. They fucked with the basketball gods. Adrian Griffin's firing and then sending Kate Middleton. Kate Middleton? Why'd you say Kate Middleton? You mean Chris Middleton. You must talk about the royal family a lot, if that's your autocorrect, to Washington. There's no loyalty in that program. That's why I don't care if Giannis asks for a trade. I think it's not healthy for the team or the city if Giannis leaves, and his loyalty to them. I would like really see. I don't think he should ring chase at this point, just because the NBA wants him to ring chase. There's also another whole level of like the NBA sees him as a huge marketing asset that is lost on the Milwaukee market. So as a hater who doesn't want the NBA to be so corporate and so fucked up with directing people like Luka to the Lakers for money reasons, I don't want to see him leave a small market to go to a big market just for the sake of the NBA's money, is what I'm saying. And in some ways, that's a lot of the push to get him the fuck out of Milwaukee, is that Adam Silver wants to make more money off of him in a bigger market like New York. And to me, I think that it's much more beautiful, the old school NBA, where a guys like Malone and Stockton, well, Malone didn't do it, but Stockton did, stay on the same team for the whole career. Reggie Miller, Indiana, Tim Duncan, San Antonio, Larry Bird, Boston Celtics. And well, if Giannis in the modern era could stay on the Bucks, and he won a championship, it's not like he needs to go and ring chase like Dame Lillard tried to do with him. What's wrong with that? He did a successful thing. He did it. If he could stay a franchise player for the Bucks his whole entire career, he's done such good things for the Bucks, for their arena, for their franchise, for the city, economically. I say, why would you mess with that? Why would you rip the heart out of that team, especially for those fans and the people that invested so much time and love for Giannis? It's a hurtful thing. It's in some ways it's traumatic to lose your franchise player ripped out like that. Ask Dallas after last year. In some ways, if you don't want to do that to people, especially the people that are probably good people overall, I don't think the Milwaukee fans are wrong for this. I think the front office is wrong for this. And you're right. They did Adrian dirty. And in some ways, the basketball gods and things may work out. Like, yeah, they're not going to be successful for a long time because of that. I don't know. But that's my whole stance on it. I don't want Giannis to leave the Bucks just to make Adam Silver happy because he's on a more forefront team and stuff like that. Fuck that. I don't want to hurt the Bucks nation for that. I really don't. And this is as a Raptors fan who can understand this. When Vince Carter went to New Jersey Nets, I can understand this. And in some ways, the day if this happens and Akumto leaves Milwaukee, is going to be a sad fucking day in Milwaukee. And I don't want that for them. Just like I didn't want what happened to Dallas last year for Luka fans either. That's right. Yeah. Shaq Lindsay saying this: sometimes on a hot summer day with the honeys out driving in my car with the music blasting, I too forget that I'm married with 2 kids. So I understand where the refs are coming from. Is that a allusion to them forgetting to call fouls? Shaq Lindsay, this is funny. I don't even know how to deal with this. G saying this: I can't lie. This new development about Rich Paul has me in a bit confused. So now I like him. Damn. Well, and maybe it's a smart ploy, but Fred's real. Fred's not gonna lie. So I have to take it as being truthful and not some sort of weird like, man, Toronto people don't like me. How do I get them to like me? Say to you like Toronto, and they'll like you. Oh yeah, I'll do that. No, I think it's for real. I think that it's for real. Like they were joking. It's like William Luce said Caravana. He wants to go to Caravana. And, Fred's laughing and smiling. I don't know. Rich Paul, listen, you're an entrepreneur. You're somebody who made yourself into something. And I respect that. And listen, just do us right. Seriously, I know that you liked Messiah a lot before. And I hope you like Bobby just as much. And, well, you know what? Just do us right, please. When you come to the negotiating table, when you have free agents, we have different people that may be working around the NBA. I love that you respect our franchise and you have love for the city of Toronto. Okay, that's all I got to say on that. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Raptors Champs is in the house. Good morning, Raptors freaks and champs. Raptors 905. Let's get champs on you this season. That's right. 2017, the Raptors 905 won the G League championship. Well, let's let history repeat itself. And let's start that journey today in the tip-off tournament against the San Diego Clippers, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time tip-off. The game should be on Yahoo here in Canada. I mean, not Yahoo, YouTube. It should be on YouTube for free on YouTube, hopefully. Yeah, why did I call it Yahoo? What the fuck am I saying Yahoo for? Cream saying, fuck Rich Paul. Adele, where's the pants in that relationship? Where's the pants? Where did they put them? Is that what you're saying? Where's the pants? She must have misplaced them. Maybe she'll sing a song that's very lively about where are the pants to Rich Paul. Where are the pants in this family? I don't know. I mean, either way, I mean, is he still with Adele? Are they still successfully together? Because it's hard to hold that together in some ways, celebrities like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's see. Neil saying Rich Paul ain't no fool. He probably has specific teams he tries to make clutch destinations. It's good for his bottom line, and he can't corner every team. He's being strategic. Well, yeah, Raptors, you know, in some ways it makes sense. You know, why would Shamshay be here? Because he wants Shamshay to get developed correctly, right? And that's why it's like, look, Rich, you saw what happened with Christian. You need to tell Shamshay to circle back when he gets cleared by fitness to play. Because look, you love Toronto, first of all. You also know that you want your client to make a lot more money later on in their career as they develop. And well, look at Fred VanVleet, look at Norman Powell, look at OG Anunoby, look at Pascal Siakam. Lots of good examples of guys that came up through the 905 and with the Raptors in certain ways. You need to, you know, this is why we need Ulrich here in Toronto. Because I can see the body frame of a Giannis and Ulrich, and I see the potential for what he could become. But you don't want to drop that ball, Rich. You don't want to drop that ball and have him go to like somewhere like the Lakers. Obviously, the Lakers aren't going to develop somebody right because Christian is Austin Spur now. Did you guys know that? Christian got waived by the Lakers earlier this season, and he has been picked up by the Spurs, and he's on their G League team all of a sudden. He just got picked up like in the last week or so. So Christian Coloco is an Austin Spur, and he's in the Spurs organization as of now. Yeah, isn't that interesting? Coloco's over there now. That's right. Wayne saying this, morning Raptor Freaks. We're number 3 for now, which is great spot for playoffs positioning. However, the risk premium is that we are really a solid 4 or 5 when we factor in the injury bug. Anyways, we're solid. We just play it by ear. Keep going where we are. We could be 3. We could be 2. A lot of things can shake out and change over the season. I feel really good that we're on an upswing again. We minimized our downswing. Sure, we lost 4 straight recently, but we've won 2 straight since, and RJ's going to be back. In fact, RJ posted something yesterday on his social media saying coming back soon. And he's not signaling that he's coming back to like a theater to watch a movie. No, he's not signaling that he's coming to the games to hang out in street clothes and watch. No, he's coming back to play. He's not signaling that his new shoe's out or anything like that. No, he's signaling he's coming back to play. And, you know, RJ posting something on social media yesterday saying coming back soon. Well, he's telling us he's coming back soon. And that could be as soon as tomorrow against the Boston Celtics. I don't think he's telling us he's coming back soon and he's going to come back next week. No, I think he's coming back soon, as in he's coming back tomorrow. And he's going to be playing for the Raptors in Scotiabank Arena against the Boston Celtics tomorrow. That's what I think is going to happen right there. That's what I think is coming up. That's right. Shaq Lindsay saying it's unfortunate. The one shooting guard we should consider keeping, Oshai, is probably going to be traded. I'm hearing more about Nick Richards, although I would prefer Goga. You know, this is just the timing. You know, think about it like Oshai has a year ahead of all those guys too. Like seriously, he's just a year ahead in his NBA career and growing and getting more established. Now, he was very steady last year in his 3rd year, but now he's in his 4th year, right? So in some ways, you got to think about that. You know, Jacoby's in his 2nd year, Gray's in his 3rd year, Oshai's in his 4th year. So obviously, he's a little bit more ahead and a little bit more well-polished, partly because he has another year in the NBA, more than those other guys, at least 1 more year, if not 2 more years. So keep that in mind when you're analyzing and kind of comparing. And that's part of the reason why his contract's up sooner than those other guys. So that's what I'm saying. You know, Grady will go through this next year, and it may be a totally different kind of scenario with Grady by then. It could be very similar. It could be worse. It could be better. We don't know. We don't know. It's a long season. And just like talking about the standings with Wayne just now, even though we're third right now, yeah, we could fluctuate. We just want to keep that floating near the top of the standings and not moving down lower. And that's why every game right now matters. If you have a chance to win, like we did last night against the Giannisless Bucks, you need to capitalize. Make sure you get it because every game matters right now. Win loss with the standings race and how much the elevator can go up or down right now. And right now, the elevator is up on the top floor for us right now. We want to stay up there in the penthouse. We don't want to go down in the basement. We don't want to go down in the middle level. We don't want to go anywhere down there. We want to keep home court advantage and keep in the top 4 in the Eastern Conference for the whole season. And we stay up there, we're going to be in good shape for the playoffs, and we'll get some good playoff experience this year for our young team. That's it right there. That's it right there. That's right. Let's see. Neil saying this. We had a conversation in the past where I pointed out that some of these trades and free agency pickups are favoring for agents to get better players later on. That's an interesting thing. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's true. Their relationships matter in anything. Politics and relationships have to do with workplaces. And if you have a good relationship with your boss, you have a good relationship with certain coworkers that have certain skills, you can get things easier than other people if they don't have those relationships. So if you have a good relationship with Rich Paul, that's probably a good thing to do and probably a good thing. Bobby's a really shrewd businessman and he's going to work this right. And as long as he's cool with Rich, just like Masai was cool with Rich before, hey, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right there. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Shaq Lindsay saying, what happened to Dick and Jacoby? If we decide to keep them, then we need to work on their game. There's confidence issues right now with these guys. I don't know what the hell's going on with them because they're missing open shots and they're goofy. At the beginning of the year, I was like, Jacoby's just a fundamentally perfect player. He's like playing so fundamental. Fundamentals have gone out the window lately. Like, seriously, I'm not even understanding what he's doing with some of his drives where he stumbles and the ball's just going out of bounds. All of a sudden, where's your fundamentals, Jacoby Walter? And what are you doing, bro? Seriously, man, get this right. Although, Darko gave a lot of praise to Jacoby after the game. It may look like Jacoby played like dog shit, but you wouldn't have heard it from what Darko said after the game. Darko said, oh, Jacoby was so good with the deflections. I'm so proud of Jacoby. He did this and this and this. So he's trying to point. I don't know. Maybe this is Darko trying to build up Jacoby's confidence by saying good things about him in the press. He didn't say good things about Shed, though. He didn't. He said Shed was horrible in the first half, but he came around and he got better in the second half. That's what he said about Shed. But and also, that they were key to win at the end. I mean, Emmanuel and Shed were both not very good offensively last night until the end of the game. And they hit some daggers in the last couple minutes. This has kind of been the pattern with the 905 and the Raptors that the point guards are quiet and they're just doing distribution for most of the game. And then at the end of the game, they call their own numbers and they make the shots that matter with daggers. Chucky Hepburn's been doing this for 905 the last week. Elijah Martin too. And now you got IQ and Shed. And we have that quick Shed lineup at the end of the game. That's very effective to close the game. Like, seriously, playing Jamal and IQ at the end of games has been very, very fortuitous for the Raptors in good ways. Very, very good. You know what? Let's do the stars of the game. Why are you waiting so long, Lex? You're an hour in. Do the stars of the game. Number one star of the game, obviously, is Brandon, and he got this chain last night. He got the chain straight up. And, that's cool. There's games where he could have gotten more chains and other people got them. But this one, you undeniably had to give him the chain. He carried this team for most of the game. But he did say at the end of the game also that Scottie was taking care of things for times when he wasn't taking care of things. And it was a real 1-2 punch. And he has a lot of great compliments for his teammates, his coaches, and the organization. Brandon's just really having a good time. He really, really is. You can tell. And it's kind of cool that he is leading the league in minutes. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, guys. Because you know what? He's gotten banged around a little bit in a couple of these games. Like it's a little scary when it seems like he might twist his ankle, right? You see that in a game right now? It's a little scary, but he's way more durable than we think. The thing is that injury that he had with his ankle was absolutely something that was built up from years and years and just a bad little thing. And then boom, he's got it rehab and he's fearless. In some ways, he's got to have to play and he will play through some pain. He's not trying to miss games. If he can play, he's going to play. And he told the Raptors, no load of management and do not sit me just for rest. I need to play. I want to play as much as possible And I got to respect that. Even if some people say, no, don't do that. We need to save him. Well, let's see how they handle him in April and March. They may cut his time down a little bit just to get him a little bit more rest going in the playoffs. There's ways to land this and do this right over the season. But yeah, 35 minutes for Brandon, 29 points. He missed one free throw. That could have been a 30-point game. 9 of 18, perfect, 50% shooting. You got to love that. He's high volume and he's shooting 50%. 4 of 6 from three. In fact, he's been scorching from three in the last few games. He's got, they posted his totals and he's got two 30-point games and a 29-point game and a 28-point game in the last 4 games. And his shooting percentage from three over these 4 games is like 60%. Yeah. Yeah. What's not to like about Brandon? And the thing I like about it is too, is he may not get the ball initially as the hub, as the person touching the ball to start it from. I like the fact when he becomes the go-to guy on the outside, like Sandro or Jameson or Grady, like where, the play's going on down below, maybe Scottie's doing something with it. And then somehow, the defense collapses, but there's Brandon on the outside, kick it out to him and boom, he steps into a three. Those some of the offense generated from him off ball is very like good, because in some ways we don't want Brandon to absolutely do ISO. I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to spin this way. I'm going to fade away and do this to beat you guys. In some ways, it's easier for him to get shots off his teammates if they find him in open spaces where the defense isn't near him and he's not taking any physicality. He said that they were very physical last night, that the Bucks were being very physical last night, is what he said. But yeah, he filled the stat sheet, 8 rebounds. In fact, Darko noted that. He said not only was Brandon good offensively, he was good defensively too, and he was getting rebounds for us. And that's fantastic, because that's the extra effort. A high caliber offensive player like him, and some of these guys just decide they just want to do that in games, and they don't need to do any other departments. But Brandon taking the initiative to go get loose rebounds is a fantastic thing, and that's really important. 3 assists, 4 turnovers, 2 steals, a plus 13 for Brandon Ingram last night with that 29-pointer. Fantastic. The second star is obviously Scott. Scott was absolutely the second best player in the game too. You could actually make a case that he was the best player too, because he got a double-double. 36 minutes for Scottie Barnes, 24 points on 10 of 14 shooting. In fact, he started the game scorching. He was 6 for 6 to start the game. Didn't miss any shots. And it was a mixing up of different shots. He shot from outside. He went inside. He had transition. He was doing scoring every which way and perfect. And then he finally missed his 7th shot. But 10 for 14 for Scottie, 2 of 3 from 3, 2 of 5 at the free throw line. It's weird he's missed some free throws recently. He's a very good free throw shooter. In fact, Scottie's free throw shooting this year has been the best year of his free throw shooting in his career. 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 turnovers. Maybe tighten that up. 2 steals, and 2 blocks. So he got his 4 stocks to keep that pace up with Wemby. And then 5 offensive rebounds too for Scott, which is fantastic, a plus 6. You see Scottie dominating now. You see him dominating. He just moves different. He's constantly leveling up. And one of the ways is like I said, since his rookie year, you have to grow into your power. You have to understand just how fucking powerful you are, because you can do anything you want on NBA court, Scottie Barnes. It's just deciding that you know what you're doing and when to do it and how to do it and learning it and doing it more and more. And over this odyssey of your career in your 5th year right now, you're at a good place with showing dominance, because this is the thing. It's all round dominance. It's not just offensive dominance like Brandon. It's like he can dominate on both ends of the court if he wants to, whether it's the blocks and steals, the rebounds, the defense, or the plethora of ways that he can score. So yeah, Scottie, you keep going, man. It's your world. I just live in it. How about that? Third star of the game is Sandro Mamu. Sandro was, this is the thing. People were lamenting last night. The bench can't score or do anything. Yeah, it's because RJ and Yak are out. And we bumped up 2 guys from the bench that would help scoring into the starting lineup. And Sandro had 18 points as a starter last night. It was kind of a homecoming game for him last night. The Bucks are a team that he played for in the past, and he knows a lot of those guys real closely. They did a nice prayer circle after the game, the Raptors and the Bucks, with Scottie and Garrett and Sandro and everybody with and with the Bucks with the Raptors. Is a beautiful sight to see, the power of prayer. Sandro is a favorite from from that city. So in some ways, he wanted to show some of his skills against Giannis and the crew. And 36 minutes for Sandro, major starter minutes, 18 points and 8 of 12 shooting, 2 of 6 from three, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers, and a steal, a +6. Yeah, Sandro was fantastic. Very solid starter. And that's part of the reason why we didn't have no points on the bench is because Sandro's in the starting lineup. It's like the bench was really bad. And this was very top heavy towards the starters in this game. The starters carried us for sure because there's only 21 bench points from last night. My fourth star of the game is Oshai. Oshai, another starter. All my stars are the starters. I don't have anybody from the bench as a star. Oshai, 20 minutes, 10 points, 4 of 7 shooting, 2 of 3 from three. It's really good that he's starting to show signs of life with his 3-point shot. He hadn't made a three until like last week in the whole entire season. So as we go through the season, we want the old Oshai from last year to continue to show up where he's dependable for that corner three. And those baseline drives towards the basket are fantastic too, because he gives them that option. If they're not going to respect him, he can drive and go to the rim aggressively with physicality, not finesse. And also he can have the option to hit that three if they leave him too open out there too. So yeah, good job by Abaji. And once again, we got to remember Abaji's doing a lot of hidden shadow box score stuff that it does not get collected on the stat sheet. And a lot of that's physicality on defense, holding people and doing all kinds of. He's one of the best defenders on the Raptors. There's no denying that. 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, a +5 for Oshai. And my last star of the game is Quickly. And I'm giving it to Quickly partly because he had 10 assists. And, he's in the flow of the game. At times he can frustrate the hell out of me. Sometimes it feels like, Emmanuel, you're a little too much. But also sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm glad he's on our team. And that wild card about his player build and the way he is absolutely is helpful at times. And in some ways he goes hyperspeed and all of a sudden we get a whole bunch of points to do that. But alas, that's not what he was doing last night. 29 minutes for Emmanuel, 9 points, 3 of 11 shooting. Yeah, it's not the best shooting. He missed all 4 of his threes, 3 of 4 at the free throw line, but 6 rebounds. So he's helping in other ways. A 10 assists with 2 turnovers and 1 steal, and he was even. He wasn't a plus or a plus minus or less. But see, there were only 4 guys in double digits for last night, and Emmanuel got 9 points with 10 assists and with six rebounds. So I have to recognize that. In some ways, I could have done 4 stars for last night, but we want to do 5 stars for the win, and I want to recognize Emmanuel. Plus, also, as I said earlier, Shed and him may not do a whole lot during the whole game, but at the end of the game, they're hitting dagger shots to win the game and separate us in the last few minutes. Because Emmanuel hit a dagger, and then Shed hit a dagger 3, and those 2 shots were the ones that separated us at the end to make sure Milwaukee had no chance. So you got to give him credit for that. Shed, an honorable mention, 23 minutes, 8 points off the bench, the leading scorer off the bench, 3 for 9 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, 1 of 2 at the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 11 assists, 3 turnovers, +2. So between the 2 guys, 21 assists with 5 turnovers, 21-5 assist to turnover ratio for our point guards. And, that's the thing. Like Darko said, Jamal was dog shit in the first half, but he really came around in the second half and he made some key baskets and helped direct things and did smart things on defense also. So, yeah, the other guys, Jamison, absolutely disappointing, making us think he's going the way of Grady and Jacoby right now, missing both his 3-point attempts, which were very open. And that shot needs to be money. Y'all need to be automatic, Battle and Dick. Y'all need to be automatic. I'm sorry. 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover for Jamison in 5 minutes, no points. Colin Murray Boyles, okay. Just a little small sampler of him. He's going to be a solid guy for us. And I love some of the chemistry between him and Scottie. It's very interesting. Scottie gets down low, and he's trying to operate in the lane, and he's kind of covered up. But he's able to wrap the ball around or just dump it off to Colin, who's on the side of the basket, and he goes up strong and puts it in. That's a really nice thing. In some ways, it has parallels to Yak and Scott. But Colin and Scottie, there's a chemistry that needs to be built up and a trust and a playing off of each other. We're going to need to discover more and more because there's a lot of interesting things between 2 very good defensive players like Colin Roy Boyles and Scottie Barnes that we have to discover, Raptors fans. That's right. 17 minutes for Colin, 4 points on 2 of 3 shooting. He missed the only 3 he took. He had an open 3 at one point I wish he had taken, but he held up for it and moved it around. It ended up being a Mamu 3 that was missed. 4 rebounds and 1 steal for Colin. Solid game. I'll give him an honorable mention. Jacoby, Darko praised him, but in some ways I was like, Jacoby Walter, 19 minutes, 3 points, 1 of 3 shooting, 1 of 2 at the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, no turnovers at least. And Grady Dick, he had some bright spots, a couple there, but still the same stuff, kind of frustrating in other ways too. 18 minutes for him, 6 points, 2 of 5 shooting, 2 of 3, 2 of 4 from 3. So he did hit 2 threes, which is nice to see from Grady. 1 rebound, 1 turnover, and yeah, Grady had a nice offensive rebound. But yeah, it's tough. These guys are young players. In some ways, they got to adjust to a bench role. And in some ways, it's about potency, Grady and Jacoby. You want to be very potent, like a snake venom. Just a little drop will poison you. You guys got to be a little drop of you in the game is just super potent. That's what y'all need to work on right now. You're not going to get a long runway to make a lot of mistakes and kind of work into your game. No, this is the whole test this year. If you're a starter, you get that. You get a little bit of time to make some mistakes and kind of work through things, not off the bench in the role that we're trying to play you guys. You guys have to be instant offense. You guys got to be instantly perfect. And listen, you may only be out there for 10 minutes and you want to look good during that whole 10 minutes. So you have to play an absolutely perfect, solid, quality 10 minutes. And then trust will be gained. And then your role can expand. This is the only way out of this hole you guys are in. And I know you want to describe it as a hole. It's just the situation you're in. You guys are in a situation where if you understand what you need to do is you need to be potent. You need to be potent. You need to be somebody who's going to be relied on, and instantly you're going to do this, this, and this off the bench to help the Raptors immediately. And, there was a sign. One of those threes you made, Grady, how did you make that 3? You were in the corner, and it was through teamwork. Jacoby had a loose ball, and he tapped the ball to you unselfishly. And you had a wide open 3 in rhythm and made it. That synergy off of teammates brings 3-point percentages up. Guys are just trying to isolate and dribble around and make room to make threes. You don't shoot as high. You need help from your friends. That's right. That's right, Beatles. That's right, Joe Cocker. I get by with a little help from my friends. Oh, I'm going to try with a little help from my friends. That's right. You need a little help from your friends. That's right. And you guys are friends, right, Jacoby and Grady? So look out for each other. Seriously, be brothers together and say, you know what, Grady, I'm going to look out for you. I'm going to tip that ball to you and you make that 3 because that's where y'all are getting success. It's off of each other. If those other guys are going to be ball hogs and they're not going to let you get it, the other guys are going to take more of the offensive pie, well, look out for each other then because that teammate synergy, this teamwork, playing off each other is what's going to get your shooting percentages up. Seriously. Because in some ways, on the down low, yeah, there's a lot of competition on these Raptors right now in the positions of 2 and 3. And in some ways, you may be looking over your shoulder and be like, yeah, I don't want to make him look too good. Because in some ways, I'm trying to get what he's trying to get. You guys can't have the G League mentality in the NBA. You cannot do this. And if Andrew Jones has snuffed all that out to the point where these guys are 14-0 in Orlando going to play San Diego Clippers today, you guys on the regular Raptors, you need to figure this out and get the synergy off the teamwork to get your 3-point percentages up. Because Darko could teach you the step to the side, Jamison battle. He could teach you, Grady, how to attack the rim and do this and that. You guys get all of your success off of each other. And you have to understand this. And you have to come to a place where there's trust and also the ability to help each other with no ego and no selfishness. And it's tough. I know in some ways, Emmanuel's not a standard point guard. And in some ways, it should be on him to get you guys going or Shed. But in some ways, these guys aren't trying to find you. I don't understand that, Shed. You're tight with Walter, right? Why the fuck aren't you trying to help Jacoby Walter with his NBA career, Jamal Shed? You guys aren't totally in competition with each other. In some ways, it's like, why wouldn't you try and help your dude, bro? He's like your best friend. Seriously, Jamal Shed, wake up and help Walter. Seriously, that's what I'm saying right here. Anyway, that's my look at the box score. with the guys. We could do team stats real quick while I'm here too. Raptors shot 50%, got the same amount of field goal attempts, and made 4 more than the Bucks. We made the same. We made 2 less threes than them. 15 threes for them, 13 for us. We did get the free throw 5 more times than them by the end of the game. You wouldn't have called that after the first half, but with it, we did. And we made the same amount of free throws. We did miss 7 free throws yesterday, and I didn't like that. We out rebounded them +7, with including 12 offensive rebounds, which was fantastic. Assist to turnover ratio for the team 31-17, and they were 25-16. Yeah, it's good stuff here. Fast break points, 19 fast break points to 4 for the Milwaukee Bucks, and we destroyed them in the paint. 44 points in the paint to their 28. So yeah, lots of good stuff there for the Raptors. And honestly, it was a little close, but they dominated in the whole game, guys. They hung around with us, but honestly, we were beating them solidly through the whole game. They had like 2 leads the whole game at the beginning of the game, and they took over the lead for a second in the third quarter, but that was it. That was it. Milwaukee had nothing on us. Come on now. Come on now. So yeah, let's keep going in the chat, see what else you guys are saying right here. We're talking about what happened to Dick and Jacoby. Well, I went into it a little bit right there. That's right. Neil's saying this. Actually, I had it backwards. His first attempt was direct and successful. The second was finesse and failed. Well, I mean, that's indicative of any NBA player. If you're going to go to the basket, you better come correct. And if you don't, well, you're going to get exposed for coming half-assed. And that's just how it is. Every young big has to learn this. Colin Murray Bowles has been learning this year, just like Oshai or anybody else. You're going to come to the rim, you better not half-step. Because if you come in there, you better come correct and throw that down with authority and come for real. Because if you don't, they're going to stop you. They're going to stop you with a shove. If you're half-assed, you're going to miss it. And that's it. I mean, it's not singular to him, and it's not a tag I put on him as a part of his personality. No, this man's going in there and he's making layups against very physical energy coming at him. And I would never say this about Abaji, that he's a soft player or a finesse player. No, he's not. No, he is not. He's an extremely physical player on both ends of the court. Let's just put it that way. He's very physical on both ends. Shaq Lindsay's saying this. Dick did have a decent game last night, but we need more. Yeah, it was nice to see him hit open threes. I know when I see him hit open threes, I'm like, yes, Grady hit a 3 finally. It shouldn't be like that, though. It should just be like, we know he's going to hit a 3 because that's who he is. And it's been like that in his career before. That's the weird thing with what's going on with him right now. Is we're taking the bare minimum of him finally hitting threes when he does. And he's still missing open threes too at the same time, at other times too. So yeah, Daniel Franklin saying, hello all, TGIF. That's right. Thank God it's Friday. And thank God it's the Freaks on the Raptor Freak channel. That's right. That's right. Wayne's saying, if Oshai constantly makes those shots and difficult layups, he's getting paid. Oshai plays without fouling. That's difficult. He has never fouled out of a game. Give Oshai his due for last night. He's a fantastic defender. And like I said, he may be somebody we don't want to lose. Like, seriously. He's a very fantastic player. In some ways, he has parallels to OG. Oshai has some parallels to OG. He's not the same player. Don't get me wrong. He's not on the same level. But there are a lot of things that Ochai Agbaji does for a team on the download. They don't just have the same initials. Let's just put it that way. They don't just have the same initials. You know, Neil saying this, I prefer Goga over Nick Richards too, even though Nick Richards is a fellow Jamaican. Goga will not get us under the tax, but Nick Richards will. If we get a Nick Richards, then we can give the 15th spot to AJ. It will be tight. We'll just have to see how it all goes. Once again, you guys, we've been doing so much trade speculation lately, and I've been humoring people. In some ways, this isn't really this channel, but in some ways, we're coming into a season where it's realistic. And Bobby has said he's going to make a move. So it's worthwhile to talk about trades, but we know this is not standard scheduled on this channel. We don't like to talk about trade shit most of the time. And in some ways we go too in depth on it, or we keep repeating the same stuff. It's like, yeah, we talked about Nick Richards. Yeah, we talked about Goga. Yeah, we talked about Daniel Gafford. We talked about Day'Ron Sharp. Yeah, we can do this. We can talk about the fit, but in some ways I don't want to obsess about it and bring it up over and over again. I'd rather talk about the basketball like I do on this channel. And when Bobby does his move, we'll react to it afterwards. So we'll just see. Kareem saying this, Jacoby means well. His heart is in the right place, but he needs to beef up a bit more. Once he's on the Dick's plan, what? He will be a monster driving the lanes. What are you trying to do, man? You're a word terrorist. Why would you throw those words in that order, Kareem Thomas? This is crazy. I love the pictures after the game. I mean, they're just becoming iconic at this point. They're a true testament to the Raptors' unity right now. And let's go look at the Instagram stories because they are there. That's where it is. First of all, guys, I want to give a big shout out to former Raptor, Jared Roden, who's over in Paris, France, who I'm still following on Instagram because he just did one of the nastiest dunks ever seen in the country of France, ever. Yeah, Jared Roden threw it down on somebody's head. And this highlight is crazy, man. It's crazy. And in some ways, I don't know if the Paris, France fans over there get to see this kind of athleticism too often because, man, he got up there and threw it down on a big in a way that was like, it was like a crime. It was a crime towards that man who got caught in it. They're trying to say it might be dunk of the season in their league over there in France because Jared Roden's so nasty. You guys go check it out. It's pretty badass. He gets up there and the guy's got his hand right there and he avoids the hand and he just bounces it almost off his head. Like, seriously, it's a nasty dunk. And you got to love a former Raptor, Jared Roden, living his dreams past the NBA. He's gone to Europe now. And, well, he's really good in Europe. Really good. Norman Powell hit a half-court shot in Brooklyn at the buzzer. He just kind of lofted it, and it went in. That's amazing. Good job, Norman Powell, Raptors champion. Yeah, Norm, we love you, man. You got to get on Unguarded with Fred VanVleet. It looks like Sandro and Mercedes were having a fantastic dinner of charcuterie laid out there. All kinds of cool food right there. Nice to see. Living that best life, and she's got her man on blast there. They're engaged. She has a ring on her hand, like a big ring. I'm pretty sure they're engaged. It's not just his girlfriend. They're engaged. There's Oshai posting that picture of them. We got them posing this time. And it's like Shed kind of did a pose with the team photo after the game. Like he's kind of like this. And Grady's kind of doing a different kind of look. Somebody in Reddit wrote this goofy comment, the Grady's in Cream City. And that's why his post-game pose is looking all ruffled because he's in Cream City. What are people doing with this? It's all started because of Grady's last name. I blame it. And there's Jameson doing the pose too. And Scottie's doing this Kawhi face now in these things. Not Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi like the Japanese art, there's like anime characters who make like faces with big smiles and they have their eyes like this. He's doing that in these pictures now. And him and Jonathan did it in the last one. So yeah, Scottie's doing some sort of cool thing. And then you see BI with the chain on. He looks so pleased. And yeah, these guys are fun, man. You can tell just from their team photos they take in the locker room after the game. All for one for all, win for all. And RJ, get those street clothes off, man. So you could get it back into the fun. That's right. Let's see who else is posted. OG Anunoby is excited because the Knicks beat the Pacers by 1 yesterday. A OG versus Pascal matchup. And yeah, it's a tough game winning that game on the road against the Pacers. Of course, the Pacers beat them in the playoffs last year. So there's some get back going there. Jalen Brunson hit a big game-winning shot. Yeah, and who got the hard hat? I don't even know who that is. Who is that player? I don't know who that guy is. Jamal Shead squatting up with the squad in the squad picture, and the Raptors win. Colin Murray Boyles has got the picture of the guys in the locker room on his Instagram with everybody posing with Brandon with the chain. There he is coming in the game. We got Scottie with a couple of highlights from the game. One where I kind of thought he traveled when he took that little step when he turned around the lane. But they didn't call it, so it was fine. I mean, in some ways, I would say the ref could have called a travel on him there. But they didn't because he kind of had this pivot foot and he took one step and elevated. But yeah, Scottie had some really nice plays in the game last night. Quickly to Barnes, a little play there. And yeah, there's Scottie with his crew after the game, the squad picture. Let's see. Jacoby's got the score from the win. And we got Mamu working out and also the score from the win and him coming in the game and the squad picture there. And he's also got the Champagnes on blast. We had a twin game with Justin and Julian playing against each other, Washington and San Antonio. They did the jersey swap. And, yeah, there is National Twin Day. And Sandro's declaring that he's the third twin of the Champagnes. Did you guys know that? That Sandro Mamukelashvili is a triplet with Justin and Julian Champagne? I bet you didn't know that. Grady, with his picture of him coming in the game, and there he is with the squad and his guns on blast. That's right. People are saying you got to get on that Grady Dick workout plan, Jacoby Walter, so you can show off his guns. Jamison Battle with the score of the win and the score. And yeah, what else we got? Teresa Resch and the Toronto Tempo are teaching their fan base the history of basketball. And they were talking about the birth of basketball with Dr. James Naismith. And I guess they're just, that's part of what the Raptors did when they first started as a franchise. They were teaching Canada the NBA and the sport of basketball. So in some ways, the WNBA is going to be doing that through the Tempo here in Canada, teaching people that are coming to the sport maybe new to it. They're going to go over the basics. So there's history lesson on Teresa Resch's Instagram post right now, and also on the Toronto Tempo. Man, I'm telling you, the Unguarded podcast is a hit. A huge hit, and it's going viral, and it should, because of guests like Kevin Durant being real with Fred VanVleet, kicking it like that, and Fred asking those tough questions, like the hygiene questions, like how to fix the All-Star game, like where do you see yourself in the history of the NBA. This is just a fantastic, real, authentic show, and if you haven't watched Unguarded with Fred VanVleet, you need to do it immediately. Seriously, they're so good. So good, the episodes. And I can't wait for the next one, man. Seriously. And I can't wait to see you get as guests. If you get Drake, that'll be very interesting. Fred chimed in about the Drake and Kendrick feud, guys. He did this on Cabby and Lindsey Dunn's podcast, where they asked him, well, how do you feel about this? And he's like, oh, I'm for sure Drake's side. Because he doesn't really know Kendrick. And he respects Kendrick. He likes his music, but he loves Drake. Drake's has been his favorite artist for so long, and he has a personal relationship with Drake. And he talked to DeMar about the whole thing, and his whole thing is like, they're grown men. Let them have their thing, and I have nothing to do with it. I'm not trying to do nothing to nothing. And in some ways, he made it very clear. He talks to DeMar constantly, all the time, still. Like DeMar and Kyle are in his circle, and they are always in contact. Fred and those guys. So, he's not mad at DeMar for anything involved in this. Like, why would he take sides? Just because Drake wants people to take sides? So it's stupid. But in some ways, Fred's very much made it clear he's on Drake's side if he has to choose between Kendrick and Drake. Like, this shit should even matter. Or like this shit should even be a thing. Anyway, all right, let's keep going. Yeah, I think that's about it with the Instagram stories right there. Yeah, they're taking some team photos and player photos down in Orlando with Elijah and Chucky and the 905, getting some pictures taken at the Showcase Cup. So yeah, that's your Instagram story check for today. The Raptors are a squad, and when they take their team photo in the locker room after a win, it's fun to see, isn't it? Those guys are goofy, man. All for one, all win for all. That's right. All for one, win for all. That's what we do in here. That's right. That's right. All right, let's keep going with the chat and the comments. Let's see. Stargate saying Goga is a better fit. He reminds me a bit of Kelly, a little dirty. He's a bigger player than Kelly, and he would be more of a true center than Kelly. Yeah, and I don't even know if he shoots threes. I think Goga. I think that Sandro is more like Kelly than Goga is what I would say. I'd say that. Shaq Lindsay saying we are tanking this year. Who's saying that? Who's tanking what? What? Who's trying to tank what? There's no reason to tank. We going for it. That's right. We going for it. Neil saying Giannis put the Bucks back on the map. Yeah. Yeah, he's had a huge impact on that city, on that state, and that cannot be understated. And in some ways, that should be respected when talking about like that team and its history and uprooting him out of it. That should be respected in these cases. Daniel Franklin saying, I think Giannis should be traded, say to the Hawks for Trey and Reza Shea and picks like the Pelicans. I don't know. I mean, I feel bad for him going to the Hawks. In some ways, I do like Giannis, and I do want him to be happy where he goes. And I feel like going to the Hawks, why do that? Why not just stay where you are? I mean, they did do that change at some point. I think the franchise moved from Milwaukee to Atlanta at one point or something like that. I think the Hawks were in Milwaukee at one point, and that would be weird. But no, I mean, why just stay in Milwaukee if you're going to go to some place like the Hawks? That doesn't make any sense. First of all, that wouldn't accomplish what the NBA wants anyway. They want him in a big market. The only way he moves out of Milwaukee is if he's going to a team like New York. It's not worth doing. You're just going to shuffle him to Charlotte instead for LaMelo? No, that's not going to work. They want him, his power and who he is on a big market team. That's why it's going to be somebody like the Lakers or the Knicks. And it won't be a team like the Hawks. That's a lateral move. And Adam Silver, if he's really trying to get revenue and do what he's doing, like with the Luka trade last year, that won't do what he wants. And that's why the NBA won't allow that. It's like Giannis to the Hawks is not going to be a thing. Trust me, because that's a lateral move. That's not going to accomplish what Adam Silver and the NBA would want for marketing. Does that make sense? It's for the fans. The team's not going to win. It's time to rebuild. It's for the fans who? For the Bucks? For the Bucks, it's time for a rebuild there? I don't know. Let's see. Wayne saying this. Nothing demeaning about complimenting anyone, whether male or female. I get compliments from females for my age. Is that ageist or sexist? Grow up, Lex. Compliments are okay, not gawking. Dates different. Well, she's a professional woman that's trying to do a professional job, and she's not necessarily eye candy. And I allow that nickname that Seymour has for MJ partly because she's okay with it, and she said, "She's like, oh, it's fine." But if she wasn't, I would be like, Seymour, you can't call her eye candy anymore because it's demeaning. And there's a lot of built-in misogyny and sexism in us that we have to deprogram. And you can be insulted by what I said, Wayne, and you can think, "Oh, you're full of shit, Lex, for saying that." But this is part of the new world. If we really want true equality, we cannot look at women as sexual objects solely. In some ways, Ashley Moyer-Gleish, Jenna Renault, who I could say, wow, they have great butts or something like that. But what am I doing? In some ways, that's a bad influence on everybody. And I should be more like, you know what? I'm looking at them as refs, just like Mark Lindsay. That's fine. I mean, are you guys trying to date them? Are you trying to hit on them? If you are, you go ahead and do that in your own time. But this is a public forum. And in some ways, behavior in this society is out of control with horrible role models in the White House. I'm just saying it's not a good look as far as like, let's not just equate them to just being like sexual objects. And I mean, I may be progressive in this thought and maybe not so much in the old world and gender roles. And I mean, look, I'm not trying to say you guys can't do it. Go ahead. But in some ways on this forum, I'm not going to get into this toxic masculinity world where we just demean women as sexual objects, especially since on the horizon, I'm going to have a huge part of my coverage going towards the WNBA and the women that play in that league. I am not perfect. In fact, I come from a misogynist world, and I have a sexist streak in me that was programmed in me in the South, in Florida, when I grew up in Tallahassee. And in my later life, I've deprogrammed myself more and more to understand just how fucked up and toxic that kind of mentality is and how much it's fucking hurt society and women. And I'm just real about it. And I mean, listen, if I'm going to have new people coming in the stream because of Toronto Tempo, I don't want to have a space where we engage in locker room, boys will be boys kind of bullshit. That's what I'm saying right here. Because it's not necessary. If you guys think it's funny, that's fine. It's not a joke to me. If you guys think that it's like, I want to just express myself that I think that this is an attractive person, that's fine too. But there's a slippery slope and there's a fine line to walk on that. I'm not trying to tell you guys what to say, but don't tell me how to react to it either. And if I feel like it's a little out of pocket like this, I may say what I say. I don't want you to feel guilty for it. If you want to do it, you want to lust for women, you want to talk about how they're attractive and do all that stuff, and women do that to men, I don't disagree with you. But also in the same setting, these are women, they're women of authority in the NBA who are trying to keep a level of professionalism because they have to have players that make millions of dollars respect them. And there's a whole level of like, yeah, you can equate it just down to this. These are just women, and I can treat them as sexual objects if I want to, Lex. But also at the same time, this is a part and a thing in society that has been toxic all along. And it's just that we've always just known this as a normalcy in life because, gender roles have not been equal and women have been subjugated to a lot of unnecessary shit because of this kind of energy. So I don't know. I mean, we can look at it different ways. And I'm not coming at you, Wayne, in any kind of angry way. I'm just trying to say you guys have that freedom of speech to say it, sure. I have the freedom of speech to react to it the way I do too. So you can say I grow up. I feel like I'm growing up past the old world and the old mentality. And maybe you need to grow up on your ideas about gender roles and women and that kind of stuff. Seriously. And listen, I'm a weird guy. I know that I'm not the cup of tea for everybody on everything. That's for sure. Because I'm very unique in a lot of ways. But also at the same time, I can't help but be truly myself. I appreciate you guys and I respect you guys, but I don't necessarily respect objectifying women, is what I'm saying. That's what I'll say right there. That's what I'll say right there. But either way, you guys do it. And well, I got to react as Lex will react. And even if it's something you don't totally agree with, that's fine. I'm not going to tell you to change. It's up to you if you want to change. If you don't want to change, that's perfectly fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, Daniel's saying Giannis may walk for nothing. The reality is he may walk for nothing. I don't think that'll happen. If that does happen, that will just reinforce that the Bucks front office is shitty. That's what will happen there. If this is like the Pascal situation with us, where they didn't at the 11th hour make something happen, so they got something in return for him. Well, yeah, Bucks fans, you'll know that the biggest problem with your team was your ownership and your front office the whole time. That honestly is what the problem is right there with them. It's not necessarily Doc, and it's not Giannis. No, Neil's saying this: Goga is more productive than Nick. Nick's only hope is that Darko revives Nick's career. Well, once again, I would say, what are we looking for? We're looking for somebody to become a huge star and become some sort of player beyond thing. No, we're looking for a role player. We're looking for a player that may be manageable with their pay in the salary cap in the future. We don't need somebody to grow up and just blow up in a big way. If Nick Richards is just a solid this, and this already, even if he doesn't have a high ceiling to go above that, and that's just what we need. You know, we got to order up the player that we need here and what Bobby does that makes sense, that fits the whole scenario, that'll make it work. Because honestly, that's why the AD stuff was so ridiculous to me. This isn't going to work. And in some ways, you guys made me realize yesterday with the price for Sabonis, he won't work either. So Nick Richards level, Goga level, Day'Ron Sharpe level, it's about the right level where we should be looking. But also, let's not totally like gauge them against each other. Well, was this guy better at this? Bobby will know the best. And honestly, it's not about a huge high ceiling. In fact, we don't necessarily want a huge high ceiling. We just want a workhorse, a guy who's just going to do that job. And in some ways, if he doesn't expand his game in any other way, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter because he's already established that I can do this in the NBA. I can play this level of defense. I'll get this amount of rebounds. And who gives a shit if he has an offensive game to an extent? That's what I'm saying right here. Daniel's saying this. I think if the Raptors trade for Nick, it shouldn't be because Raptors want a long-term sign him. It should be just for a one-year backup, get under attacks, and then focus on drafting the center or two. Yeah, this is smart. I mean, it's not even necessarily that you focus on drafting them. Hopefully, ideally, Shamshay's cleared to play, and this guy's just coming in as a stopgap for that period of time where we don't have the player, right? Shamshay's been taken from us by the fitness to play panel. In some ways, what we're trying to do right now is just fill his spot of what we would have had from him if he had been just here. And then in some ways you could say, oh, Bobby didn't do a good job building this team this year because we got short bigs. Well, we were counting on Ulrich Shamshay to be a two-way for us. And well, he got yanked from us like right at the beginning of the season with no warning. And in some ways you can't plan for that. If the fitness to play panel says a Cameroonian guy, yeah, I don't know. They didn't even officially said why he's out. They didn't say blood clots. They didn't say anything. He's just out. They didn't give us nothing. It's radio silence. So in some ways, if there is ability for Shamshay to come back, Rich Paul, and we don't want to totally fill that spot so that we can't have a spot to bring him back like Christian, maybe that's why the open roster spot's still there. Maybe that's why we only get a stopgap like Daniel's saying right here, for just a small period of time, because all of a sudden Shamshay's circling back and taking his spot back. I mean, does that make sense? That makes sense. So we're saying this. I didn't know much about Nick Richards before yesterday. Hang on, it jumped ahead. I want to make sure I don't miss any comments. Hang on. Where is it? Wow. Okay, good stuff. I'm glad y'all filled it up, and I'm all about talking about it. Seriously. Wow. Wow. You guys really filled it up. This is good. All right. No more comments. Definitely give me a cutoff, Monique. Definitely give me a cutoff. I'm sure you might have already done that. If you are here, I think you're here. I think I saw your name in there. Um, okay. I didn't know much about Nick Richards before yesterday. I looked him up. He's awful. Yeah, he's not a good defensive player. He really isn't. He's really just a big guy, like in the old school, big guy, stiff at the end of the bench, six fouls kind of guy who will rebound and take up space. In some ways, that's what we want. In some ways, that was what we want because his value's lower. He's not as expensive because he doesn't have that other aspect. I know he is. Yeah, you're right. He is kind of bad. You're right. That would be a steal of the trade for the Suns getting Abaji. Well, we're trading a skilled guy for a guy who may not be as skilled, but he's size, and that's the trade-off. Kareem's saying, yeah, Nick Richards looks awful, but we have to be mindful his position is to grab boards, pass the ball, and get the fuck out of the way. Yep, yep, that's kind of what I'm saying. Even if the Raptors draft a center, the team still needs to hang on to starting and backup center. Yeah, Pirtle and Mamu. Pirtle and Mamu. I don't know. They don't want to draft centers. The last center we really drafted was Yak. And that's like 10 years ago, really. I mean, Shamshay's kind of a center. Koloko was a center, I guess. That those count. But we see where they've gone. And like JV and Yak were the other two before that. Look at JV. How long has he been in the league? These were like our center projects from before. And you know, we're getting the spoils of Yaka Pirtle now because he was somebody we always wanted out of Utah. And Jonas, you know, look how long it took for him to develop at the beginning of his career and to get to where he is and all this stuff too. So it's like centers take a long time. And Bobby wants to, in some ways, shortcut that. It's like let another team develop the center and we'll come get them after their rookie contract, like Mamu, and say, yeah, you come play for us now because you're a little bit more savvy as an NBA player. I really think this is a value and a theme that they use about centers in particular, that position. They don't like drafting centers. The Raptors do not. I've noticed this. It's crazy. Let's see. Stargate saying, to be honest, I have my mind set on Daniel Gafford, but Goga is an okay alternative. Nick's best years were with the Charlotte Hornets. Since then, he has looked much like an NBA player, much less like a center. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not totally up to date on Nick Richards. In some ways, once again, we're doing a lot of speculation of things that are possible. And in some ways, I don't want to spend too much time on the. I want to react to the game and talk about the game. You guys want to talk about acquisitions and trades all the time. I'm like, I mean, why don't we just talk about Raptors basketball instead of talking about Nick Richards and Goga and all this stuff so much? Like, seriously, I get it. You guys are excited. We might get a new player, and you want to speculate about who it is and how the fit is. And we should do that to an extent. But in some ways, this is getting tiresome that we're talking too much about this in some ways. Let's see. Kareem saying we definitely need to groom a center. I don't care how long it takes for development. Well, hopefully Shamshay will circle back. Smooth saying RJ probably back in a week. I think he's back tomorrow. Honestly, I think he's back tomorrow. He's been practicing this week already with them. He's been practicing since Sunday. So he's been practicing. He's physically ready to go. It's just about whether they want green light him from Dr. Alex, and I think he'll be green lighted for the green game team tomorrow. The Celtics will be in Toronto, and we're probably this is the thing. Also, I'm gonna say this: Pirtle will probably play tomorrow, and RJ because we're playing the Celtics, and we're I think we're down 0-1 to them in the season series, and Darko will strategize to try and win season series against Eastern Conference opponents because of playoff seeding. So in some ways, last night's game was important for that because the Bucks are an Eastern Conference team that, you know, we need to have a winning season series against just in case at the end of the year. And they're going to think the same thing about the Celtics tomorrow. We're already down 0-1 to them. We got to even the series tomorrow. And the other thing is both the games we played against the Celtics so far are the games here. And the two games we play against the Celtics later in the season are going to be in Boston. So we can't drop the ball tomorrow when we play the Celtics for the season series because we already lost one of our home games against them this season. So I expect Pirtle to play tomorrow and RJ to return. And that's my educated opinion right now. I'm saying he's going to be back tomorrow, Reggie. Tomorrow. Daniel Franklin saying this. Raptors didn't really have the money for a backup center. Someone like Dayron, $6 million works for Oshai. The thing is they did, and they spent it on Sandro. And they got him. He was our backup center we got, but we were including Ulrich as part of the depth chart. And that's where our hole in our depth chart with bigs happened. It's not that Bobby didn't plan or do things right. He got a curveball thrown at him when the fitness to panel play janked Shamshay off our team all of a sudden. And that's really what it is right there, guys. Let's see. Daniel's saying, but other players you're talking about are too expensive. Yeah. Yeah. I think the level of Dayron, Goga, Nick Richards is realistic. And the pie in the sky, even of Daniel Gafford, is too expensive. It's too expensive. And I think, and even like this is what's coming out of camp, of not camp, out of media for the Raptors and what they're hearing, people like Doug Smith, Josh Lewenberg, Blake Murphy, is that the Raptors are looking at a lower level move, not a huge move. Like everybody's painting a picture of AD this, John Morant that. No, they're not trying to do any of that. They're trying to move on a lower level to upgrade our roster. They're not trying to make a home run or do some crazy huge move. I think that that's the misnomer, and a lot of Raptors fans just get in that mode because they got to make a move. Well, who's can we get? And then they look at the top of the rosters and the best players and the highest and expensive people like Sabonis and Anthony Davis. Where the realistic thing is that they're probably looking at a third string center, which makes sense because that's what we need. We don't need a backup center. We got Sandro. We just need a third guy just in case, who's NBA ready and tested and not a project. And that's why the names we're saying, Goga, Dayron, Nick Richards, they fit that. They fit that right there. Yeah, Yak is 20 going to 30, and you can't pay 20 for a backup. Yeah, we're not going to pay 20 million for a backup. And Daniel Gafford's getting close to that, right? Right? How much of a salary cap do you want to spend on centers? That's another thing. The Raptors have very much shown that they don't want to spend a lot of their salary cap on centers for different reasons. There may be some really analytical reasons, some very specific reasons, because in some ways, they've allotted this amount of their salary cap for Yak and Sandro, but in some ways, they're not trying to go overspend on centers. Like other teams may be spending a lot on center, Sixers, Knicks, different teams like that. But we're not trying to do that. We're spending the money on Scott, Brandon, Emmanuel, and RJ. And, Yak is our fifth starter, and he's the lowest paid starter. So, that's part of it right there. Let's see. Neil saying this. Nick didn't look all that on Charlotte, which is probably why they dumped him. Kahn and Miller are the best picks Charlotte has made through the years. Fuck Melo. Yeah, I agree with this. Brandon Miller and Kahn Knipple are the future of the Charlotte Hornets. It's not LaMelo Ball. And, if they can trade anything for him, he's a toxic asset. He's like devalued. He's like negative value in some ways. Nobody wants him. That's what they're finding out. It's crazy. Smooth saying even Kevon Looney might be a good pickup. Yeah, he'd be a great pickup because he's a solid guy who has a lot of experience. He's a champion. He'd be a good locker room guy. He'd fit the T. He'd be fine. He's better than Horford because I think he's younger, right? Yeah, I wouldn't want Al Horford up here, but maybe Kevon Looney, even though he's pretty old too, right? Neil saying Grady's speed is great for his own rebounding and steals, but he has got to slow down once he has the ball. He will be more successful. We can speculate the added muscle has altered Grady's shot. That's why he misses. We can speculate all kinds of stuff. The confidence is a fickle thing. If you lose a little confidence, it snowballs. There's a lot of different things going on with him and Walter that I don't like, but in some ways they got to work through. And we'll just see how they come through it and where they're going to be afterward. We'll have to see. Hopefully Grady will just figure it out, and all of a sudden he'll be a sure shot. Potency. That's what I'm asking you guys. You guys got to be potent. So there's just a little drop. You guys are huge. A little drop of you guys. And all of a sudden, boom, you guys are doing amazing things just in like 5 minutes of the game. If you're duds and you're not doing jack shit and you're hurting us and you're absolutely missing defensive assignments and turning the ball over, well, that's no good. That's not potent. That's the opposite. And that's what we got to tighten up right there. That's what we got to tighten up. Daniel's saying, personally, I think this 2026 draft will make or break the Raptors front office. They have to make good picks or else they should be fired. Not drafting Renault and seeing him start is really bad. Yeah, we can't do this. We can't woulda, coulda, shoulda this. We can't. I mean, seriously, I just did a whole spiel earlier, Daniel Franklin, about how the front office is doing fine. And that takes that they've been doing bad is absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. If you didn't hear it, go back and listen to it. because I went off about Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster and the way people look at them and say, oh, they've been failing. I don't agree with this. They chose to go with Elijah Martin, and Elijah Martin has been a good draft pick so far. So I can't get with this. Just because woulda, coulda, shoulda, this or that, let's not do this. You could say this about Desmond Bain and Malachi Flynn from a long time ago. There's all kinds of areas where we do this, and we don't do this, Daniel. And you trying to build a narrative that at the end of the season, Bobby could get fired if he doesn't draft right? Nah, I'm not having that. That's not a way that Bobby gets fired. No, it's not. No, it's not. And I ain't having that. And as a Raptor freak, we don't build narratives or stipulations for that unless it's something goofy like he trades for Anthony Davis. And I say, no, I'll fire you, Bobby. If you're going to go get Anthony Davis, that's a big no-no. Do not do that. You're going to hurt our franchise. But no, you can't just do this because he's doing moves and doing his job, and you think that he should have done something he didn't do. We can't do it that way. It's more you get him fired for making a very big, bad mistake, like hanging us with an albatross around our neck, like an Anthony Davis who's always hurt with a huge salary. You don't get him fired because he chose somebody else in the draft. Then you got to be like getting mad at people for all kinds of crazy woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff. And instead, we look at the success of most of the picks that they've made and who they are in the league, and not maybe some of the picks that maybe could have gone a different way. We could go all the way back to saying we shouldn't have picked Andrea Bargnani in the first pick, and we should have picked Brandon Roy or something like that. Let's not do this. We just have who we have. And sure, maybe we would have liked to have Renault right now, but we didn't because we had Shamshay and we had other plans, and it didn't work out. And in some ways, I'm not going to capitalize on Martin over Renault and say that this is a reason why Bobby needs to be fired. No, we can't say that. We can't say that. He took an NCAA champion, a winner, and a guy who's balling out right now. And Renault's great. And in some ways, I wanted that to happen, but I'm not in the egotistical place where it's like, oh, Bobby didn't do what I wanted him to do, so I want him to get fired. No, we can't do this, Daniel. There's no stipulations built like that on this channel, unless it's Anthony Davis, like I said earlier. The Clippers lose again. Not surprised. Not surprised. Clippers are going to be really interesting to me. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with them. In some ways, they could just fuck off. They in some ways, you know what? You may not get punished overtly for aspiration, Steve Ballmer, but you could get punished by the basketball gods and the hell that you're in with your team and the way it is right now. There you go. That's how it works right now. It all works out in the end, right? It all works out in the end. That's right. Mr. Quasimodo is saying Grady Dick had sick hustle. Yeah, he's trying. He's trying. And I won't take away that Walter and Dick are not giving effort. They are definitely giving effort, if not totally successful all the time. Daniel saying OKC as the Clippers 2026 pick. Yeah, that's the rich get richer. Man, the Clippers, they should get a Christmas card from the Thunder every year, honestly. Daniel's saying this. There's a world where OKC wins the chip again and gets the number 1 pick in the draft. Yeah, I don't think that'll happen because, first of all, the NBA can manipulate the lottery to an extent. Obviously, we saw that with Dallas getting it last year. I don't think they're going to land on the Clippers knowing that the OKC Thunder would get that first pick. In some ways, they're trying to govern the Thunder a little bit and get them a little more down to earth with the parity. So I don't see them directing water this way and allowing that to happen. Seriously, and I'm saying allowing that to happen, because first of all, the Clippers, they may not have very good ping pong ball chances to get the number 1 pick. So I don't see this happening. This is a possibility, though. You're right. It is a possibility, but it's probably not very likely at all. Let's see. Mr. Quasimodo is saying, what the hell, everyone did their part. Who? The team. Yeah, I felt like the team did a good job, but the bench was just not scoring very well last night. Smooth saying this, the more that comes out about Chris Paul, the more rotten it is. Yeah, you heard about this party that he had. He had a Halloween party, and he invited the team, and his intentions were to build team chemistry and culture, and nobody showed up. It's like Zubac showed up. Ivica Zubac showed up. None of the older players like James or Kawhi or Bradley Beal or Brooke Lopez or any of these guys, none of them were there. And, in some ways, it's just like, yeah, it's just like that. In some ways, I can identify with Chris Paul, because I used to be in a writers group at Second City. And I used to write comedy. I took training at Second City to write comedy for years. And my mentor is Paul Bellini of the Kids in the Hall. And he was in charge of us. And in the writers' room, I was the oldest person in the class. Yeah, I was 40. And he said, "You're a natural leader, Alexi. I want you to be the lead writer." And all the other writers hated it on the down low. They hated me in some ways because he anointed me the captain, the leader. I mean, I'm a natural leader, and I tried to do a good job. I listened to everybody, but there was always a resentment towards me, and everybody treated me like shit in the middle of it. And I was trying to be a good leader, and I was just trying to be authentic and speak my truth to what we're doing in our writing process for the show we were creating. But these guys were assholes to me on the down low. They talked shit about me behind my back, and they tried to sabotage things just in spite because they were such haters towards Paul Bellini designating me the lead writer. So it's interesting. I can feel some of the vibes Chris Paul has because in some ways, look, he's a natural leader. In some ways, he has an outspokenness that wants to help and be in charge. But some people don't want him to be in charge. They're going to disregard him and they're going to be toxic behind his back. And I'll bet you this is exactly the same kind of thing. In some ways, I'm proud of myself for that show because I made it go off without a hitch, even though these assholes were actively trying to sabotage us on the down low. And Paul Bellini gave me all my flowers at the end of the show and said, "Man, this wouldn't have happened without Alexi and what he did on this show." And it made my haters hate it even more because at the end of the video, at the end of the show, he said that in front of the whole audience. And you could see the people that hated me in the writers group make scowls and get all pissed off. Haterade right in that moment. So it's tough to be a leader. It's tough to be an authentic leader that says things that people don't want to hear, especially when they want to be in your spot and they hate you. So I think that's a lot of what's going on with Chris Paul. I think that's a lot of what's happened with him in his career also as a very outspoken, authentic, tough leader in this league, just like Kyle Lowry. It's just how it is, man. Yeah. Stargate saying, I think Darko expects more from Shed. Yeah, for sure. For sure. He wants him to be more better with his offense, but there's a certain level of defense and leadership that he always has to have. But he also said on the same token, he knows Jamal's not going to be hitting it all the time, and he has to be allowed to have mistakes. He has to be allowed to have mistakes for sure. And honestly, Jamal Shedd's the future for us. Seriously, he's a keeper. And if he becomes our starting point guard at some point, that is probably very likely. Let's just put it that way. I think he is. Even if he's a small guard and Kevin Durant doesn't think small guards should be starting guards at this point, I think he could do it. That's right. Yeah, Smooth saying this. He had a Halloween party and only 3 teammates showed up. I know, man. I know. And it's like he probably didn't get mad about that. He's probably disappointed about it. But yeah, it's tough. Tyronn Lue has had players on his team that have been difficult in his career. In some ways, why don't you read the room? Even though he's kind of calling you out in some ways. Well, you don't want him around. All right, y'all dismiss him. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. Let's see. Blackhawk saying, I'm not surprised. I'm not a fan of Chris Paul's game. Well, why not of his game? He's a Hall of Famer. He's a great player. I wouldn't say I'm not a fan of his game. I'm not a fan of his personality, maybe. But yeah, I don't understand this. Wake Forest legend and one of the greats of his era. No, you got this wrong. His game is really good over a long, long time. Very, very wrong on that one. Daniel's saying this. Raps have needed a center and point guard depth for years and fail every year to deliver, but Raptors have 6 shooting guards. Well, the experiment with Vision 6'9" was not a problem. It was very interesting, and it shaped the league, honestly. In some ways, the Raptors were trendsetters when we did that Vision 6'9", which was anti-center and anti-point guard. And in some ways, I don't fault them for that. They were trying something innovative and new. It didn't totally work, and they pivoted away from it. And part of that is having Jakob on an extension and long-term contract. Part of that is getting players like Shed and Quickly. So, I mean, I can't – Daniel, if you're trying to make a case like a lawyer for why to indict Bobby Webster as a bad front office, I'm not going to get with you on this. And I will actually fight you on this. Seriously, I will disagree with you, and I will prove every other point otherwise because I'm not trying to get Bobby fired. That's not what we're trying to do here. A healthy ship is healthy with things going right. And if things are going right, there's no reason to point fingers, and there's no reason to start putting people in the crosshairs for expulsion or dismissal. And listen, we want Darko and all our players to be successful, and we want Bobby to be successful too. So I'm not coming at anybody unless I absolutely have to. I didn't come at Nick Nurse until I absolutely had to, near the end of when it was absolutely toxic and fucked up what was going on with him. I stood up for Nick Nurse most of that last year. He was our coach, blindly, not knowing that he was absolutely a center of all the problems with the Raptors that year. And I'll still do that until it absolutely is necessary. I will stand for Bobby, and I will get in the way between you and him if you are going to come at him. Because it sounds like you're trying to make a case for why you think Bobby Webster should be fired. And I'll tell you right now, that's not a good decision. That is not a good decision because we have stability and history and an honoring and respect towards Masai Ujiri and the way he did things as the guy who was partnered with him still being in charge and doing things similar to how Masai used to do them still. So yeah, no, we don't want to get rid of Bobby unless we absolutely have to for some really fucked up reason. Because Bobby is legacy. Bobby continues the work Masai started, and he does honor to it while he's still doing it. So yeah, I can't get with this, man. I can't get with this. Randolph saying this: winning is sweet, beloved Raptor Freaks family. Blessings. Make an extra effort to brighten someone else's day. A hug, a smile, a handshake, or just being helpful. For sure. You know, some people are just awful. They don't want to help people. They see somebody struggling and they'd rather like film them and make fun of them and put them on social media than actually just trying to help them. That's messed up. In some ways, that's a decline in humanity. If you do see people that need help, like somebody's carrying something that's heavy and they need a door held, or you see some old lady that needs something to help with something, help her. You know, let's stop being like, I don't want to get involved. No, we need to get involved because there's going to be situations coming up in the near future where humanity needs to come together in community and be there for each other. And turning a blind eye or turning the other way or not wanting to get involved is not going to help anybody. And if you were in their situation and somebody didn't help you in that situation, well, I hope that doesn't happen to you because you didn't do that for someone else. You know what I'm saying? Blessings to Phillips family, all the Raptor Freak families. I appreciate you, Randolph, so much. That's right. Reggie's saying too many vets thinking they know it all. Once again, Chris Paul's going to rub people the wrong way, and they're going to be frenemies and enemies and on the down low hating and seething hate on the down low. Well, plus the other thing is, Chris may have lost some respect in the league, partly because his skills have declined. He is not the same player as on the court as he used to be. And in some ways, the wait for him to walk around and bark orders and say what he wants to say to people isn't reinforced when the man can't drop 10 points himself in a game. That's part of the problem also with him trying to be a leader at this point. If I'm going to go counterpoint the other way, is his skills have declined drastically in the last year. And in some ways, the respect from players isn't there to say, you know what, we have to listen to him because look, he's dropping 20 and 10. It's not like that anymore. It's not like that anymore. That's part of it. Smooth saying, the more I think about Leonard, the more foolish he seems to be. Kawhi Leonard's a low IQ person. In some ways, he's just a low IQ person. He may be a very extremely gifted athlete, and he may be a winner in basketball, but he's also a very low IQ person just as an individual. I don't think he's operating on a very high level up here. And in some ways, because of that, there's other people doing the thinking for him. And you know how that can turn into, well, it's Uncle Dennis. And Uncle Dennis is going to be in some ways forming and shaping the persona of Kawhi for him. And it's not totally Kawhi's fault because in some ways, maybe if he was more in charge of his life himself, he would have a different persona at this point. I don't know because they've made missteps for sure. And Kawhi, you'll never, ever know if you would have gotten a second championship with the Raptors. You didn't give it a chance. And that's your own damn fault. Seriously. That's your own damn fault right there. KT saying Mark Davis clearly had money on the line yesterday. What a horrible call and fuck DeRozan's monstrous game. I don't even know. Kings game, something happened, something. I'm not surprised. Mark Davis is like that. Mark Davis is like that. We know that. He screwed us over the worst this year so far. He's been the worst ref to the Raptors this year because of Charlotte. Because of Charlotte right there. Reggie's saying, I really want the Raptors to win another chip so that the 2019 team can be put out to pasture, man. I don't want to ever put them out to pasture, but we don't want to be a drop in the bucket one-time hit. No, we don't want to be a one-time wonder, one-hit wonder. I flock of seagulls. No, we don't. We want to be having multiple hits on the charts in the top 40 Billboard. That's right. So yeah, and that's something that Masai wants more than everything too, because in some ways his moment was robbed from him in a Golden State. But also at the same time, when we win again, he's going to be smiling real big, and he's going to feel it. He's going to feel it. We'll get there again. We'll get there again on the broad shoulders of Scottie Wayne Barnes. We will. Reg saying it's like sometimes I wish 2019 didn't happen. Bullshit. Make sure it happened. We needed it. It's banked in, just like Fred said. You can't take that away from him. That's happened. That's bona fide, and there's no denying it. And people like Kevin Durant, who got beat by us in that year, he bona fides it and say, "Yeah, you guys were champs. You deserved it." You know, Draymond may spit his bullshit out about how he feels about, oh, y'all wouldn't have won. You know, Durant started the podcast saying, I'm a 3-time NBA champion. And Fred's like, no, you're a 2-time NBA champion. He's like, I would have been 3. And then Fred's like, no, I think it would have been 50-50 split if you had been healthy with Clay and we were playing y'all straight up. But I think we would have still won in game 7. You know, and that's how I feel about it too. I think, and it's evidence. It's like, look, we had everybody in the regular season playing, and we kicked y'all's ass both times we played y'all in that year, Golden State. So don't give me this shit that you think you would just beat us if Kevin and Clay were playing, because we will never know. And as Kevin Durant says, we don't do hypotheticals. We just do reality. What happened, happened. So yeah, man, we need this to happen. And thank God it happened, because it's really a prestige that we need for our franchise. It's a prestige we have that a lot of other teams in this league don't have, because they've never won it, like Orlando. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing right there. That's part of it, man. I know it sounds that sounds crazy, but Leonard is so undeserving of the pedestal he is put on by some Toronto people, in my opinion. He is and he isn't. Maybe by Toronto fans that put him on a pedestal. I wouldn't do that. That's why I don't rank Kawhi Leonard as one of the greatest Raptors ever. I mean, sure, he had a great season. He had the greatest season as a Raptor ever, but he's not one of the greatest Raptors ever. He's not greater than DeMar DeRozan. And some people laugh that I just said that. You know, Kawhi did his job. As Fred said, he's not mad at Kawhi. Kawhi helped him become a champion, and he did his job exactly. He didn't come in, you know, in some ways that's impressive that they held it together. No one on the download, that man's probably leaving at the end of the year the whole time. And in some ways, Kawhi, knowing that he was on his way out, a testament to him that he went to the highest level that he could to get us to where we got to, without just like saying, oh, I'm going to be leaving anyway. Who cares? No, he got the job done. And like Fred says, his stance on it on the Unguarded podcast about Kawhi and his role in our championship is exactly right. And Freddie's like, yeah, I'm disappointed, just like Serge and everybody. We didn't get a chance to run it back and get another one. And I agree with Serge Ibaka. I think the Raptors would be 2-time champions right now if Kawhi Leonard had given us a chance to defend our title. But we'll never know. And we don't do hypotheticals. And well, we did win one. And that's just the reality in the history of the NBA. 2019 NBA champions, Toronto Raptors. And let's not ever say, oh, I wish we didn't have that, just despite Kawhi, because we don't think he deserved it. No, he deserved it, because he came and he did his job that he was paid for, and he did it to his full ability, and we won. And that's the way Fred looks at it. And if Fred looks at it that way, all the fans should look at it the same way. All the fans should look at it the same way. You know, Neil's saying this, 20-plus points off the bench is better than 15. I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, they had 21 points, the whole entire bench last night. And in some ways, that was a weakness for the Raptors, as we had no scoring punch off the bench. The starters had to carry. But, you know, we get Jakob and RJ back, displace some of the starters to the bench, and all of a sudden the scoring off the bench is way better because RJ's back. You know, that's part of it. That's part of it right there. Neil's saying this. Actually, Oshai and Grady are building consistency for the past 2-3 games. I take their production because they are closer to their normal. Just small things to clean up, which I already pointed out. Yeah. I think that, I mean, they can be solid players, and they're just going through the ups and downs as NBA players. And, you know, Oshai's on an up now. And Grady's kind of been on a down recently, but Grady will have an up again soon too. And it's just how it is. Walter, same thing. Mo is here. Good to see you, Superfan Mo. Good morning, Raptor Free crew. Nice win. Stars of the game, BI, aggressive Scottie, Mamu, Oshai, and Jamal. Scottie's just moving different, isn't he, Monique? He's just a very dominant force in this league, and people's eyes are opening up. You know, the rest of the league, they can't deny that we have 2 all-stars right now. The way that they're playing off each other right now, Scottie and Brandon both need to be at the All-Star game. So make sure y'all vote. Seriously. Make sure y'all vote. Great pace, 8 versus 5, and we still won. Yeah, I still don't think it was 8 versus 5. I think y'all are being over dramatic. I think Mark Lindsay was very fair. And the three refs were, maybe they forgot to call fouls for the refs of Raptors in the first half, but they made up for it in the third quarter. Let's just put it that way. They made up for it in the third quarter a lot. In fact, those touch fouls that they were calling on the Bucks were frustrating for Milwaukee at that time, because they were able to play very physical with us in the first half. And all of a sudden, the red light came on from the refs and say, no, we're going to call every ticky-tack thing. And you saw how many late whistles there were on the Bucks too. And the fans were hating that. Oh my gosh. Emmanuel drives the lane and he gets kind of touched. And then like there's a couple seconds and then they call the whistle and put Emmanuel on the line. That is surefire telltale that Mark Lindsay's trying to even up the free throw attempts because he didn't want it to look so bad at the end of the game. Because it was looking like it was going to be like that. Scottie got his first free throw attempt in the third quarter. That's fucked up. that was the first free throw attempt for the whole team. That is really fucked up. That's crazy right there. That's right. Stay voting. That's right. Mischief's here. Good to see the base man here in this chat today. Ingram has been on fire. He must be eating a giant steak salad. He's eating something. Before the game, Ingram's dad must have told Mr. BI3 he's been playing with more energy. His face has been clearing up. Anybody notice? I mean, whatever, man. I'm not, Durant wants to talk about his hygiene. That's fine. I'm not going to talk about Brandon in any kind of thing on subjects that he is not putting out himself. So, some people have been trying to diss Brandon for his acne. And I'm like, fucking, why the fuck do we need to bring this up? The man hits shots and he's playing for the basketball. And that's all that matters. Who gives a shit if that man needs some Clearasil? Who gives a shit? If he's eating better and that's helping and stuff like that, that's great. That's great. Brandon, there's all kinds of rewards and things for eating healthy and putting the right things into your body. But yeah, in some ways, this is some area I'm not totally comfortable talking about because this is our notorious BI3. And in some ways, we got to revere him with a respect and an adulation for what he's doing for our team right now, that I am not going to be nitpicky about his facial acne. No, I'm not. But if he's eating healthier and he's getting there, I mean, Mischief's a real big proponent of a big steak salad. He's brought it up a few times in here. I like Mischief is thinking about, like, he talks about like training and ankles and warming up correctly so that you don't get injured. He's talking about all kinds of stuff because in his own life, he's doing a lot. You know what he does during the game? He runs on the treadmill the whole game, guys. I don't know if y'all know this about the base man. He told me this in the last couple of years, that when he watches Raptors games, he's running on a treadmill the whole time. So he's putting in work just like the guys are on the court. So yeah, salute to the base man, Mischief. And I love this. He's giving good advice. Eat right, stretch, make sure you put in the workout, and a steak salad won't hurt you. You know what? I'm gonna give a dunk for Mischief on that one, man, because he has such a good intention of trying to get people healthy and in good shape. 36 on the dunk charts for Mischief for 2025. Boom goes a dynamite. Let's see. Daniel's saying signing Oshai to a 4-year deal, like $32 million for 4 years, might be better long-term value because he can be traded with value or sign and trade. That's true too. And that may be part of the decision that Bobby's making. If we think about it, if Oshai's more steady than these younger guys after him, Grady and Jacoby, maybe he does pivot and he values Oshai and he marks him down for a future. And those other guys are the guys that may get traded. I don't know. I mean, that's the flexibility that Bobby has. In some ways, Oshai, you're trying out for the Raptors long term right now. And right now, I like what I'm seeing. Let's just put it that way. That's what that way. Most saying 3-ball is necessary in today's game, but you still have to take it inside for sure. And I'm a big proponent of when you open the game up to start, you don't start outside by bombing threes cold. You work the ball into a big man and get a post shot close to the basket to open up that scoring at the beginning. If you're not having a hard time scoring, why are you shooting threes so much at the beginning of the game? You should be going down low. Classic basketball coaching fundamentals. Open up the can of the game by going to the basket, to the rim, and maybe you establish right away the referees calling whistles for you to get to the line. And you know what? You score and you don't struggle with a few misses from the outside, and you get your chemistry in kind of a bad place already because people are missing outside shots because they're lazy. You work that ball inside. That's what I'm saying. Mo's saying Grady Dick's first 3 seasons, year one. Okay, you're just quoting stats. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do that. That's not a good comment for me because I can't just read all those like that. But yeah, it's true. His stats are down this year. That's the basic premise right there. Raptors champ saying, yes, Roden gets his flowers. Thank you, Lex. Always wanted to see him become a Raptor. Well, especially these guys that I feel like in some ways they didn't do anything wrong. And it's honestly just a really tough cut because we have to have a certain amount of people involved. And in some ways, the choice was Roden or Lawson. And in some ways, we got to go with a hometown hero from Brampton named AJ over Jared. But Jared didn't do anything wrong. In some ways, if we had a bigger roster, I'd have Jared Roden on our team right now, too, even though it's even more of a glut at 2-3. But yeah, I like to celebrate guys that have gone past us, like Eugenio Marui, Marquise Noel, Jared Roden, and celebrate those guys for their accomplishments past us. This is the Raptor Streak channel. Once a Raptor, always a Raptor. And Jared Roden's a Raptor. He is a bona fide Raptor. He played for us in an NBA game. And he is a Raptor that I will follow for the rest of his career, no matter where he is in whatever corner of the world. That's right. Superfan Mo saying 20 assists for Shed and IQ combined. Actually, 21. They adjusted it. And I think they gave Emmanuel an extra assist after the game. So he got 11. 11 after the game, 10 for Shed. KT saying, I don't even know what MJ looks like. I still call her eye candy from time to time. Well, I mean, she's been okay with it. It's been normalized, but it's not a big deal. I mean, in some ways, my soapbox on that is not that important to stand on. It's just that in some ways, you know, I don't know. In some ways, I'll let it go. I hope that people that if I piss you off or anything like that, you can let it go also. It's not that big of a deal. It's just we're expressing opinions and people can be however they want to be. The world doesn't have to change overnight, but it will be changing. Let's just put it that way. The world will be changing. And well, do we want to shape a world and some of the aspects from the old world that aren't exactly right? We want to make a new world where it's absolutely right. And some people say, well, that's just woke dumb shit. Well, in some ways, the woke stuff is the right stuff to go forward with. Because if we want true equality for all, that's what woke is, right? People use that as such a dirty word. And really, the time that's anti-woke right now is the last gasp of the really awful people trying to hold on to being like really racist and fucked up. And that's why they're fighting so hard, because it's the last gasp. Because in the new world, none of this shit is going to be going on. And they have to have their last little KKK parade and Nazi parade because this shit is going to get snuffed out after MAGA. Trust me. We've seen such devastation and fucked up racism and fucked up shit from Donald Trump and his administration that the pendulum's going to swing the other way as much as it swung against woke. Oh, man. And they're going to establish it as the code for the new world. And some people will hate that. But that's the thing. Would you rather live in a world where it's more equal for everybody, a woke world, or would you rather live in a totalitarian, dystopian, racist-ass place where only rich white men have anything good in this world and everybody else is subjugated to shitty shit? That's the world they want. I don't want that world as a white guy. I want the world where everybody's equal on the same playing field with, we all get an equal chance and we all have a chance to buy a house. We all have a chance to have children. We all have a chance to do the things in life that we'd like to do and not get priced out because of an ever increasing inequality in income and also an ever increasing rise in prices. So I'm just saying the pendulum's swinging towards the really bad stuff right now, partly because this is the last gasp Hail Mary of the racists, the KKK, the Nazis, the maggots, the MAGAs, to fucking try and get things back from a world that has a Barack Obama in charge or equality. And that's why they're going so hard against the programs and trying to gut it out of the government right now, is because equality is coming whether they like it or not. And well, if we let them set the rules, maybe it won't. So that's why we got to stand up and be vigilant about the world we want to create going forward. Do we want to be in the old ways? Or do we want to build a new world with the new ways and the enlightened ways that we've learned as humanity, going through the experiences in history and the lessons we've learned? We don't want to learn from them. We're going to repeat the same mistakes. No, we got to establish a new world ahead of time that's going to be right. And this is the last effort of white supremacy and racism to try and establish a code for the new world and what they want. And we got to stand up and fight it. We do. We got to stand up and fight it. It's right there. It's right like that, man. I'm telling you, man. I don't even know why I said that. Kaz is saying I was watching another channel, and the guy put Kawhi at the top 5 Raptors all time and left Pascal out for him. Kawhi doesn't get to be top 5 over Pascal because of one season. Sorry. Yeah. I actually have a ranking system for this, Kaz. I used to do this as a annual thing, and I haven't looked at it in a while. I have the GROAT rankings where I ranked all Raptors in the history of the Raptors, and I did a points system. And one of those categories is longevity on the team. If you only play one season for us, I'm sorry, you don't get a good score in that. If you were disloyal to us and you left us high and dry and fucked us, Vince Carter, you're not going to get a high score, Chris Bosh. And those are all factored into whether you're a great Raptor of all time. And I did it mathematically, and Kyle Lowry was the number 1. In some ways, I helped determine the growth because I scientifically did a method that did a system to figure it out. And Kyle Lowry was the answer I got at the end of it. And I should get that spreadsheet up again. And maybe I'll share it with you guys again and update it because Scottie's rising up that chart. And, you know, some of these guys are not on our team anymore. I can finalize where Siakam is, where Fred is, where OG is, and where their final ranking is with our team, unless they come back and rejoin us at some point and add to it. You know, I can kind of look at it. And that's why I say my 4 GROATs are Kyle, DeMar, Fred, and Pascal. And honestly, the order's really Kyle or DeMar flip on certain days. And Pascal's a strong 3 and Fred's 4 because of their accolades. And if you really weight them and you really look at all this, and somebody say, well, where's Vince? Vince fucking shat all over our team, was our enemy for 2 decades. And he fucked us up. Chris Bosh, I don't give a shit. What did he do in the playoffs? I don't care if he had franchise marks. What did he do to us when he made the decision to go to South Beach? And Kawhi Leonard. Sure, we don't get a championship without him. But you know what? We don't get a championship without Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Serge Ibaka, Marc Gasol, Norman Powell, OG Anunoby, all those guys who were on that team also. So, yeah, I should bring up the GROAT rankings again. I should bring it out, dust it off, and see where it's at, and maybe update it with what's happened since the last time I looked at it. I have that spreadsheet still somewhere around. I need to go look at it and maybe update it. Maybe I'll do that for a special report sometime, say the new GROAT rankings, the latest, greatest Raptor of all time rankings. How has it changed in the time since? You know, Neil's saying it's not the White House anymore. It's the Blight House. Yeah, man, this dude's not following the rules. He's not constitutionally correct. In some ways, he's breaking all the rules and breaking the United States in half, literally. And it's symbolized with him tearing down a wing of the White House to build a big, huge ballroom. And you know what that ballroom is? It's very Nazi. The Nazis did the same damn thing in Germany. It's like everybody saying, no, these guys aren't Nazis. Bullshit. Hitler built this huge ballroom 100 years ago to basically this ballroom. What he wants to do with this is to have a huge room where he can put all of his loyalists, all the oligarch billionaires in there and have huge meetings, and they can plot and talk about how they're going to fuck over everybody. And in some ways, he just wants to have this. The Nazis did the same thing. They had their own ballroom. So it's very much in the same vein of this. These guys are fucking white supremacist Nazis, MAGA, and Donald Trump's party. You can see it in the way they're subjugating people. ICE is the SS, the Gestapo. And it substitute Jewish people for Latinos. And that's it. You got the formula right there. It's all the parallels are there. And the ballroom is right to the T of it. You can go look at the history. Go look up Hitler's ballroom and see what he used it for. It was to use for the high-level Nazis to come together and organize and plot their fucking bullshit that they wanted to do to the world in the fucked up ways they wanted to do it. So that's what he's building there. And the people he wants to be there are the ones who are paying for it. The Google, the Meta, the Amazon, all those fucking huge companies. And the Dallas Mavericks owner, too. That's right. Let's see. KT saying, I'm just happy that nobody has pictures with Jeffrey Epstein on this channel. This whole thing with Jeffrey Epstein, I hope that it comes out today, but I don't have any faith that it's going to change anything. I wish it would, though. I wish it would. I wish it would tear down this man. It would tear down anybody else before him. Barack Obama wears a tan suit and he gets tore up. He picks mustard that's French instead of American. He gets tore up. This motherfucker tears down the White House. This motherfucker stomps all over the Constitution. He can do anything. And he doesn't get any trouble or accountable for it. Something's wrong with this shit. Something's wrong with this shit. I hope he gets in trouble at some point. Seriously. But you know what? The ultimate is the creator will get him in the end. And you know what? There will be a lot of celebrating when Donald Trump dies, and rightfully so. And people that think, oh, you shouldn't celebrate somebody dying. Yeah, when Donald Trump dies, people should be allowed to celebrate because he caused a lot of suffering and misery towards a lot of people that was unnecessary because of his fucked up shit in his Project 2025 this year. That's what I'm saying right there. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying here. Let's see. Superfan Mo saying W stream, W vibes, go Raptors for life. She did give me my cutoff, which is fantastic. I appreciate that. Wow, there's way more here that I see. Stay strong forever. Just let me in the comments. Let's keep climbing. Thank you. Mr. Quasimodo saying he can say whatever he wants. People can agree where they feel like it. That's exactly right. If you guys like those refs, you go ahead. It's just in some ways, this isn't like a boys will be boys space, is what I'm basically saying. I know there's a lot of YouTube channels that will get into that kind of stuff and honor it and like kind of celebrate it and go with it. I'm not going to do that. You guys can say it. It's fine. And I'll read the comment, but just know I'm like this, is that I'm not trying to objectify women in those kind of ways. It's just what I'm saying. And that's my right. And it's y'all's right to objectify women if you want to. And I recognize that. That's the thing. We got to have tolerance for whatever's differing in some ways. That's part of it. Daniel's saying this. Trading means Raps have to match salary. Who would you want to trade for to get Allen? Makes 20 now, 28, 30, 32 going forward. And with Yak's salary, that's a lot to invest in centers. Who are you talking about, Allen? You're talking about Jared Allen? No, I'm not trying to do anything like that. This is not a trade speculation channel, Daniel. We won't do this too much. That's right. Mr. Quasimodo is saying, bro, our center situation has always been weird. It's our biggest crux. On the down low, I thought that the NBA was limiting us for how many centers we could get. Like there was some sort of weird rule. Or was it just like a natural thing that happened where players' free agency destination has not been Toronto for the most part? And that a lot of the big centers are not necessarily the smartest guys because they're just big dudes and they're part of the xenophobia. And they said, no, I don't want to go to Toronto. I mean, hell, Tristan Thompson, a man from Toronto who's wanted to play on Team Canada, he didn't even want to play for Toronto because he's like that. I don't understand that. So I don't know. There's a couple of different things working all at once that has made us have a depth lack at center. And I thought that we were on double secret probation for a while. The Raptors were not allowed to have centers after they won the championship because they didn't like us winning the championship. And one of the ways to govern us and hold us down is say, well, the Raptors aren't allowed to have any bigs because that will chop your nuts off on whether you can compete in the NBA, right? If you don't have any centers to guard a big center and they just dominate you, you lose a lot, right? Tampa season. And I think that the down low is one of the ways the NBA has tried to hold us down. In some ways, it's like we're not allowing y'all to get centers for some whatever reason. Other teams can stockpile centers, have 4 or 5 centers, but the Raptors, what is that? I don't know. I'm speculating. This is conspiracy theory. That's why I was so happy when a guy like Yak is like, no, I want to come back to Toronto. I love Toronto. That's why we should be like, we love Yak because Yak was a free agency center that came back and decided to come back and stay with us. And how many of these other centers will be like, nah, man, I can't go to Toronto. I'm a big guy. I might get achy joints or something like that. I don't know. It's something that I've wondered about, Mr. Quasimodo. And we scratch the surface. We kind of look at it a little bit deeper. Was there manipulation on the down low? I mean, they didn't let us get Allen Iverson. There's all kinds of different levels of insider stuff that we don't know about that's in private with the NBA front office that Bobby has to contend with. That's why I tell people all the time, Bobby lives on the moon. You don't know what it takes to live on the moon. You think you're a GM? You think you can do this, Cloud GMs? Bobby lives on the moon. He knows the reality of being an NBA GM, and he may even know some secret political stuff behind the scenes that the Raptors have to work through as the only Canadian team that nobody else has to work through in the rest of the league. and we don't even know about it because it's not public knowledge. That's why I tell people all the time, we don't live on the moon. We don't know what it takes to breathe on the moon or work on the moon or live on the moon or do anything on the moon like Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri running this team. It's real easy to get an ESPN trade machine out and say, "Oh, you should trade this or this," but we don't know the reality of the real NBA and all it takes to do that. That's what I'm saying right here. So, I mean, it's weird, man. It's weird. Mr. Quasimodo is saying, but I'm not all about AD or some weird ass trade. That's not realistic. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. Neil's saying Sandro is not big enough as a 5, but he is a great 3-4, and he keeps up his progress. He can be a great 2 also. Yeah, I'm not trying to, I mean, he develops. He is counted as one of our bigs, and that's fine. We counted Kelly Olynyk as one of our bigs. Sandro is one of our bigs. I'm sorry. That's just how it works. Mr. Quasimodo is saying once Pirtle is good and healthy, Sandro and his can handle 50-50 load. Yeah, it's just that one spot. I'm telling you, Shamshay gone. We lost that spot in our depth, and that's part of it. Mo's saying this. So, Lex, explain to me if 905 officially lose, they're out. I don't get the showcase stuff, but I'll watch for sure with you. Okay, so Mo, the first 14 games were getting a record to find the seeding for this tournament. It's basically like the in-season tournament for the Raptors. The group play, we played 4 games against 4 teams to determine win the Group A, right? And then we went into the tournament to play the Knicks in the knockout round. Well, today is the knockout round. The Raptors 905 played 14 games instead of 4, like the Raptors did, to determine their group seeding in this tournament we're starting today. So it's a one-and-done tournament of 8 teams, and we have the San Diego Clippers as the 8th seed. We're the number 1 seed as the undefeated 14-0 905. And we're in a bracket with the Grand Rapid Gold and the Greensboro Swarm, who we've beaten twice already this year. So the winner of Greensboro and Grand Rapids will play the winner of our game in the next round of the tournament. So it's basically just like the NBA Cup, except the 4 games we played on the Raptors to get to this tournament were 14 games. And all 14 of the games that we played on 905 were counted in the record towards where we would be seated in this tournament we start today. So, yeah, this is the tip-off tournament, the Showcase Cup for the G League. And we are playing as one of the 8 teams in the G League that play for something. The years past, we didn't make this tournament, Mo. That's why you don't know anything about it. It's because this is a new tournament they've been doing just for a few years. Even before, they didn't do it when we won the championship in 2017 on G League. So it's like this is a mid-season tournament, just like the one the NBA Cup where the Knicks just won. And we win 3 games. We win today. We win against the winner of Greensboro and Grand Rapids, and then we go against the finals, and that game will probably be on Monday. We're the G League Showcase Cup tournament champions, and that's what we're aiming for today. So I hope that explains it to you. It's basically the NBA Cup with 14 games of group play, and now we're in the tournament. This is the game that counts today. This is one and done. If they don't win against San Diego, they're out in the tournament, and they'll play one more game that doesn't matter anything, a consolation game. So, yeah, win to go forward. Same thing like the Vegas stuff. Daniel's saying agreed. Unless there's a good trade out there, Raptors should just play it out and see how this year goes. Hopefully a second-round playoff exit and draft a center. Hopefully we go all the way and win the championship. I'm not trying to tell them they can't. If they could do it, they could do it. So a playoff experience for sure, and a playoff win, that'd be great. Going forward as far as we can, that'd be great too. So I'm leave it open to the possibility of the highest of levels of success and winning the championship, because they're in it still. Any team can win the NBA championship right now. It's not likely some of the teams at the bottom of the standings, but anybody can still win it right now. They're still statistically able to, right? Neil's saying, please don't bring Melo here. LaMelo? No, we don't want LaMelo. Bro, who are these people who are asking for Anthony Davis? I have no idea, Mr. Quasimodo. I have no idea. Really, I don't know who these people are. Fierce is saying Kevon Looney has been horrible on the Pelicans, was way more effective with Golden State. Well, you're on a good team with a lot of talent that's really good, and you see that. But also, Looney has been kind of declining the last couple of years anyway. So, Kaloy saying Chris Paul will be adding more curses to the Clippers franchise. Not even Ballmer's money can exercise that shit. Yeah, I don't like that word. And in some ways, I don't think Chris Paul's doing that. He's bigger than that person. We'll let the basketball gods work that all out for Ballmer on their own. In some ways, that all works out that way. That's right. Daniel's saying there's a ton of comments, but what is your metric for success? Elijah Martin is kicking ass in G League, but hasn't made a dent for Raptors, and Raptors already have a ton of shooting guards. To me, that's roster and mismanagement. I mean, I get what you're saying. And I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. I wish he had drafted Maxim. I wish he did, but I'm not going to try and get Bobby fired for that. That's just one little mistake. That's not, I don't even call it a mistake. They just drafted who they drafted and they chose who they chose. So I don't know. I mean, listen, my whole goal is not to try and point fingers and throw people under the bus. I only throw people under the bus when it's absolutely necessary. In fact, I'm more likely to protect Darko, Bobby, Scottie, the players from people that are talking trash about them, because in some ways we want things to be healthy and not toxic. And if we paint a picture that our front office is inept and they're not doing a good job, that's not the picture we want to paint. We don't want to paint that picture. And that's not true. It's what I'll say over and over again. So, I mean, you could get nitpicky. You could say, yeah, sure, we should have picked Renault instead of Martin. But in some ways, that's small potatoes. And how much will that really matter in the long run? I don't know. It may not matter that much in the long run. So, in some ways, my whole thing is, Daniel, I don't want to work towards places where we're trying to get people fired or making cases for them to get fired. The only way I come after people is if they absolutely do something egregious, like trading for Anthony Davis. That's malfeasance and irresponsible. If Bobby Webster traded for Anthony Davis, I'd say that's an irresponsible GM because that's on a high level. Elijah Martin's second-round pick over a Maxime Renault second-round pick, that's small potatoes compared to handcuffing that kind of salary to your team that's so injured. Does that make sense too, in a way? That's small potatoes. This second round, that's not as a big a deal. It's like fumbling a first round pick. Maybe that's a little bit more of a big deal. Maybe that's a little bit more of a big deal. Mr. Quasimodo saying his team can play like garbage. Harden can only do so much. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Clippers. In some ways, I don't care. Chloe saying, Daniel, the front office have a template of drafting in the second round. We look for dogs like Jamal and Elijah. These kind of players have intangibles that you can't replace. Yeah, just you wait with Elijah. They already hit with Jamal and looking for more. Yeah, we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. I don't totally agree with it. I mean, when we signed Marquise Noel as an undrafted player, I'm like, man, this kid's so short, but he was a winner for NC State. And he was he was just a really important guy who did a really good stuff. He was not NC State. What state was he? He was some state. But yeah, I don't know. The method of their madness is they look for dogs, like Kaloy's saying. They want winners. They want guys like Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet, and they're looking for those guys in template. And Elijah Martin, Chucky Hepburn, Jamal Shed are in that template, and that's part of why they get them, I think. Daniel's saying, I disagree. The picks haven't been great. I like Shed, but what about drafting a 6'4" point guard or center? Raptors need to balance the roster. Well, once again, it's not for you or me to absolutely determine that. And in some ways, Bobby has a long-term plan, and him and Masai had like a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plans that we have no idea what they're like. Once again, GM work is walking on the moon, and we don't live on the moon. We have no idea what that gravity feels like. And in some ways, it's real easy for us to nitpick and criticize Bobby Webster for the job he's doing when we don't even know half the rules he has to play by. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Daniel's saying this. What is your expectation for Elijah? Will he play over Dick, Walter, Battle, RJ, or Osha? I don't know. I have no idea. In some ways, we just got to see what happens. I mean, I've been not totally believing in him, but Monique and other people are getting me to start to realize, there's something really special about Martin. And, we got to allow him the chance and just see where he goes. 6'4" point guards are lottery picks, man. I mean, VJ Edgecombe. I mean, I don't like 6'4" point guards for the most part. I do believe what Kevin's saying is true. The future is a taller point guard, but you can't, you can't discount chip on his shoulder and small dog fight. That's part of it also. Yeah, I just don't see the point. I mean, in some ways, NBA teams are weird. In some ways, I get it. In logical sense, what you're saying and what I thought they would do, I was disappointed. I said it. I'm like, draft a center with the second round pick, Bobby. And they didn't. And alas, it just didn't happen. So, I mean, I don't know how we fight about this. Why have angst about this? Our team's successful. Our team's winning. We're going the right direction. In some ways, this is unnecessary unrest or just unnecessary just duress. We're putting ourselves under. Oh no, Elijah over Maxim. Oh no, we don't need to do this. We don't need to do this. It's not what happened. And in some ways, we just go forward with what we have and we make adjustments as we do. We can't backtrack and second guess everything. Seriously, it's just not how it happened. You know, I get what you're saying. Tyrese Proctor was on the board. Tyrese Proctor, yeah, we woulda, coulda, shoulda. We can do so many woulda, coulda, shouldas, but it's not necessary. It's not a necessary exercise, is what I'm saying. He's not perfect, but I wouldn't mind taking a shot on the his upside and fit. Well, we're just gonna have to see what happens over time. And Bobby surprises us all the time. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. Mr. Quasimodo is saying Ingram reminds me of Mello like Carmelo. I don't think you mean LaMelo. Yeah, you got to be careful with that one because that's two people's nickname. In fact, I don't give that to LaMelo. It's more Carmelo still. But full name answer, please. Carmelo Anthony is who you're saying. Most saying this. Great interview by Mike Roach with Quincy Guerrier. Learn new stuff. Yeah, it's not often we get in-depth interviews with 905 players like that. And I like what Mike Roach is doing. He's got like a flurry of guests in the last month or so. He's had every single broadcaster for the Raptors pretty much. And he's starting to add players. He did Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and that was an interesting interview too. Nickeil Alexander-Walker of the Atlanta Hawks. But yeah, he had Quincy, and not many 905ers are getting that kind of platform to espouse or talk. And that's why it was so awesome to hear Quincy Guerrier's voice and him get a longer interview than just an after game 2-minute interview with Lindsey Dunn. This was great. And Mike Roach, keep getting them, man. You're just bringing them in like fans through the turnstiles at the Scotiabank Arena. You're bringing them in, man. I want to see how far you can go with all these guests. You had Alvin Williams, Paul Jones, Sherman Hamilton, Leo Routens, Matt Devlin, Jack Armstrong. He's going through the whole broadcast team. And they're like, he's just using his Rolodex right now. You go ahead and get through them all. I want to see how far this goes, Mike Roach. Seriously, he's just got a parade coming through right now. Kaloy saying this: second rounders is where you look for long-term projects, not for balancing your roster. That could be. It depends. It depends on philosophy. And Daniel's saying, Kaloy, not sure what you're talking about. I don't see Elijah ever getting minutes. Sorry. Just like Mobo is sad. It's sad in a waste. Didn't draft guys who can get minutes. Mobo is actually a very useful player, and he's an NBA player. He's already been proven to do that. It's just that he's a utility right now for both levels. And it's been fantastic. They're utilizing Jonathan perfectly. And Jonathan, let's not get it twisted. This man's helpful on the NBA level, and he is an NBA player. So that's not a wasted pick in the least. Some people say, oh, why did they pick Jonathan instead of Kyle Filipowski? Well, Jonathan's not a crazy Mormon that's dating his babysitter. And Filipowski needed to go to Utah because that's where his people are, right? And I mean, Jonathan Mobo has definitely earned his keep in the NBA. It's not just because he's Scottie's friend. He's in the NBA. That man's a real NBA player on his own, standing on his own. And I can't take this. I mean, seriously, you're going to say that was a wasted pick, Jonathan Mobo? That's not true in the least. No, it's not. And Elijah's remaining to be seen. He's remaining to be seen. That's right. Yeah, Cloyson, I really don't see your argument as well. Looking to blame the front office for second round drafting. Yeah, in some ways, like I said, I'm not turning my guns on Bobby Webster unless he goes and gets Anthony Davis. And that's a very specific reason for me to be like, yeah, Bobby, why'd you do this? And I would investigate if he was forced to by Keith Pelly before I'd throw him under the bus too. I'd be like, man, was that really Bobby, or was the ownership telling him he had to go do that before I throw him under the bus? Because Bobby is a really good GM. He's a powerful strength for our team. He's not a weakness. And anybody who thinks that Bobby Webster's a bad GM, you do not know about GMing in the NBA. And he's absolutely fantastic. No GM is perfect. I've often described the GMs as having batting averages, just like a baseball player like Vlad Guerrero Jr. It's like, not every hit's going to be a hit, but Bobby's percentage and Masai's percentage on moves that they do is way higher than most of the averages for most of the teams. And that's where you got to look at whether you're doing better or not, is the metric against the other teams. Are we making more right decisions than the Wizards? Yes. Are we making more right decisions than the Hornets? Yes. Are we making more right decisions than the Bucks? Yes. And that's what you gauge it against. You don't gauge it against every little microtransaction that the team does. there's going to be misses. It's just like in baseball. You're going to whiff it sometimes and strike out. Malachi Flynn. You got to gauge it on how he does against his peers. And is he getting more right decisions compared to the other GMs around the league? That's where you gauge whether a GM's doing a good job. Because every GM's going to make mistakes. Every GM's going to fuck shit up to a degree. But what are the GMs that are absolutely getting a higher batting percentage on hitting hits, home runs? You know, as they said, we don't want all home runs like Scottie. You got to hit some singles and triples and doubles also. And some of those picks, like people like Jamison Battle is an undrafted. Hello, this is a man who came to our team out of thin air, and he's become a very valuable role player in the NBA already. You know, you could look at that kind of stuff. I mean, Fred's an undrafted guy that they pinpointed and they built into who he is. So the secret of success and what the Raptors have been doing, the recipe is there. And Bobby Webster was standing there with Masai the whole time. So don't look at his body of work for 1 second round this year. Look at his body work since he showed up in 2012. And look at how much the Raptors have done right with their front office the whole damn time. You got to include the build-up to the championship and everything they did right, like Rudy Gay, Bargnani, all the different things they did, Marc Gasol. You got to look at all the body of work before you start saying, oh, we got to throw out the trash on our GM because he's not very good. Seriously. And if you really – we have these stats on batting average for front office. The Raptors are one of the highest hitting teams in the whole entire league. I'm telling you right now, on things we do, whether it's draft picks, trades, we make them work and we get stuff out of them because we can't have any waste, Daniel, because we're the Canadian team and we can't fuck up and make mistakes like the Knicks can because they have all the privilege in the world. So that's the difference right there. And if you can look at it from the perspective that I just described, maybe you understand. Yeah, wow, actually, Lex, the way you put it, you know what? We do actually have a really good front office. That's the way I would say it. That's the way I would say it right there. That's right. That's right. I'm going to skip a couple of these comments right here real quick. Kaloy's saying second rounders don't get – okay, I don't need to read that either. In some ways, if I see Mobo's value as well, I'm sorry you don't. Yeah, I like Mobo, but he doesn't fit, especially now that Colin was traded. No, Mobo's absolutely useful. He's utility. In some ways, he's part of our center depth. In some ways, he's a part of our front line depth. And he's absolutely helpful. He's absolutely helpful. Yeah, he does fit. He fits on any team. He's that kind of player. Neil's saying this, I'd rather be woke than asleep. The Orange Mafia literally said he wants uneducated people. I have no problem disappointing him. Don't let a twice impeached sexual offender define you. Bam. You want a dunk? You're getting a dunk right here, man. Seriously, I'm going to give you a big time dunk for this, Neil. Because, man, you just said a lot right there. In some ways, he wants dumb people. That's why he's defunding education. That's why he wants misinformation and disinformation on social media platforms. Because the more misinformed and stupid people are, the easier he is to control them. You know what? I'm going to give you a straight up 30, man. So you're going to 110, man. 111, actually. 111 for Neil on the dunk charts. 111, man. That's a big-time dunk right there. That's a power dunk. That's a Shaq dunk he just did right there. Daniel saying Mobo was pick 31. He should be getting minutes, but can't. Will Raptors re-sign him, trade him, or let him walk? No direction. Your descriptors are really crazy, man. There is direction. He's playing on both levels. He's developing as a better player on 905. If you're not watching 905, then you have no idea what you're talking about with Jonathan Mobo. And I would invite you to watch him today at 3:30 when he plays for the 905 against the Clippers. Yeah, you're totally off base on your Mobo opinions because his development is going to new places. He has a new role on this team that he didn't have last year, and he's expanding his game, and he's getting the time on the 905. Look, we got better talent-wise, and everybody got pushed down in the hierarchy on the regular Raptors. Grady and Jacoby and Jamison are feeling this, and Jonathan would have been shut out either way just because of the new additions. We're a better team than last year. We're going to win way more. And in some ways, we want to keep that depth. And he's already got all kinds of added work on our team from last year. And he is, once again, an NBA player. And him playing on the 905 is not failure. His playing on the 905 is not a problem. It's absolutely a blessing and a good thing that he has a place to go and flourish and continue to develop while he can't get minutes on the Raptors. And it's not that he can't play for the Raptors. He could play for the Raptors right now. He could get regular rotation minutes just like Grady and Jacoby and be helpful to our team. It's just that they know that it's better for him to spend more time with Andrew Jones and get way more time down there, and he'll get further for that. That's it, man. If you're not seeing it, man, I just don't see it, man. And Chloe's saying no direction. I'm sorry. I have no value in talking with someone short-sighted. Just going to block you, not to see your comments. Well, that's your own choice, Chloe. In some ways, I'll allow Daniel his opinions, but I am very vociferously trying to point out some things to him right now. Also, Daniel, all due respect, I've appreciated your patronage in this channel and your subscription. I'm not trying to come against you in any personal way. I'm just trying to well-round the discussion is what we're having right here. Yeah, Neil's saying this. Mobo still fits. With Yak having issues, you compare Scottie and Mobo and Colin and Sandro to stay as big and defensive as possible. Yeah. Yeah, he's just a part of the great depth on our team. It's just that the depth extends to the 905, and there's no minutes for him. Yeah. Yo. Daniel saying Mobo is getting 0 minutes now, and Raptors need him. So what's his future? He's not getting 0 minutes. In fact, he's played more minutes on both teams than anybody in this whole season. Like, even he might have more minutes on court than Brandon Ingram, and he's leading the league in minutes for the whole league in the NBA because he's splitting time between both. And if you only watch the Raptors and you do not watch Raptors 905, you do not have an educated opinion on Jonathan Mobo. I'm just going to say that right now, Daniel. And I would invite you to watch the 905 today. Maybe you'll see what I'm talking about when you see Mobo take the court. He's been putting stat lines out like Scott recently. The man's been getting steals and blocks like Scott. He had like 6 steals in a game this season for 905. He's gotten a 3 steal, 4 block game. He's been getting stats like Scott. He's been scoring, getting rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks, and hitting threes. So Jonathan Mobo's the Scottie Barnes on the 905 level, and you can't tell me that that's not worthwhile when that man is making jumps and leaps with his game, man. You first of all, if you have not watched 905, you have no educated opinion on this. You really don't, man. You really don't. Chloe saying, I love the no direction comments when the 905 is 14-0. Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. It does show that he's not talking from reality. He doesn't understand what he's saying here, man. He doesn't understand what he's saying here. So, yeah, in some ways, I don't want this to become a too back and forth between the two of you guys. If there is too much of that, I am going to skip those comments because I am at 3 hours, too. This is crazy. Neil saying Mobo is getting time on 905 and they're undefeated. Exactly. And that's quality time right there. Yeah. Yeah. Daniel saying, right. So if your focus is 905, great. My focus is Raptors. It should be both, honestly. If you really want to be a full-fledged Raptor freak, you got to be paying attention to 905 and don't disregard it because it is a part of our roster and it is very much working in concert with Darko. Andrew Jones and everything he's doing. If you should watch this game today, Daniel. I think that will tell you a lot about what you're not seeing, man. That's right. That's so cool. That's so cool. Neil saying this, they are one in the same. Darko can't play everyone, so they worked it out with Mobo to play on the 905. That's because this is his second season. They can't be done to Grady because he's in his 4th year. And they're not even doing it to Jamison. I honestly thought that Jamison would be playing more on 905 this year, but he hasn't even gone down there yet, I don't think. He may have went down there once this year. But, yeah, I thought Jamison was going to be with Jonathan in this. I predicted this during the summer. I said, y'all, Jonathan's going to be playing way more on the 905 than the regular roster. Be okay with this. And it's a really good thing. I guess Daniel looks at it as a bad thing. I don't see this. And Jamison Battle was supposed to be down there with him, but he's not. He's on the 905. He's not. And in some ways, Jamison would get way more time if he was doing stuff with the 905 and developing like that. Because on the download last year, Jamison Battle played the most minutes out of anybody because he played so much on the 905 and on the Raptors. And that was very valuable to him. Very, very valuable. That's right. Daniel's saying Grady's in his 3rd year. Anyway, it's great. But how does Mobo get a second contract? I don't see it happening, just like Elijah, and I don't think that's good management. No, Mobo's going to get a second contract, partly because he's Scott's boy. Seriously, you think that we're going to do anything dumb? Jonathan's a really good, cheap player to have on our team. He's very useful, and we could pay him like a minimum salary, and it'll be great because he's going to be very helpful to the team. He's not a wasted spot. And you know what? You make one of your most important players happy that he's around. So you don't think he's not going to get a second contract? Well, that day when he signs it, I'll remember the receipt. And I'll say, Daniel, you said Jonathan Mobo wouldn't get a second contract with the Raptors. and you'll see it happen. Watch. Seriously, man. Seriously, this is crazy, man. Daniel, I don't know why you're going rogue today. Stay positive. That's what we do on this channel. In some ways, you're not being positive about Jonathan and the 905 or anything right now. That's right. That's right. So, Mo, you got what I was saying about the tournament? Yeah, it's exactly like the NBA Cup, except those 4 games were 14 games. Seymour saying, who's the starting center for 905? Can't we just bring them up? It's Olivier Sarr, the brother of Alex Sarr, the older brother. I don't think that he's worth bringing up. I mean, we saw him in training camp. We saw him at Summer League. We've seen him in G League this whole season. And I just don't think he's worth bringing up. I'd rather bring up Juju, honestly. Daniel saying, Sarr and Raps cut him. Weirdness. They should bring him up. No, he's not that good, Daniel. Once again, if you were watching 905, you'd see it. But you're not watching 905. So you can't make educated opinions on this kind of stuff, whether it's Elijah Martin, Jonathan Mobo, or Olivier Sarr. Olivier Sarr is frustrating as hell. He is a player that can miss a straight up dunk. He could be right next to the rim and nobody's anywhere near him, and he's going up the dunk and he misses the dunk. He's so frustrating. Now, recently, he's shown signs of good stuff from his three-point shooting's been better. And also his defense was really good in the last couple games, like for the 905 this week. He was absolutely a defensive force. So there's some signs, but I don't trust him. And in some ways, he's a goofy player that's not taking things serious enough. So he does not deserve to get called up. Let's just put it that way. And that's why I say, and I've been pushing this, Julian Reese, the younger brother of Angel Reese, who's on the 905 right now, is the guy who should be brought up. And he could be that fix right there. And I could be right very soon, Daniel. You'll find if you watch my channel for a long time, I say certain things and then all of a sudden it happens. So I have a prediction right now that we're going to bring up Julian Reese, the younger brother of Angel Reese, to the Raptors. We're going to convert AJ Lawson to a full contract, and Julian Reese will be on a 2-way very soon. I'm really thinking this is going to happen. This may happen this weekend, honestly. It could happen during the Orlando winter meeting. So, yeah. Daniel saying, I disagree. Seconds have turned out to be superstars, and to win chips, you need a balanced roster and every pick matters. Well, they're not all going to hit. That's just the damn truth of it. You could take the percentages of all second rounders drafted in the NBA ever, and they're all going to be a gamut running from all the way to a straight up bust right away to absolutely amazing player that's so valuable. But that last part is so rare and hard to find. You get a second round pick like Jokic, that's just finding gold in a mountain, and you're just like lucky. I'm telling you, man, it's not as simple as that. You don't hit on all your second rounders. Your second rounders go to different places, and some of them just don't go anywhere. And that's why, in some ways, a second round pick is always a crapshoot. And you can't blame a front office for not getting second rounders to stick around for a second contract after a rookie contract. No, you can't do that, Daniel. In some ways, I wish you'd just stop because I love you, man. I want you to continue to be here on the channel, and I don't want to piss you off. And because I have a proclivity to kind of go off on people that are just not making sense and maybe not really like making educated opinions here. Let's just put it that way. And if you don't know 905, don't opine on it. Let's just say that. All right. Let's just say that. Seymour saying this, fair debate, because we all want what's best for the team. Exactly. Daniel's intentions are the same as mine. It's just we're going about it in different ways. And in some ways, I'm trying to paint the picture that it's maybe toxic the way he's going about it. And that maybe we need to just kind of allow Bobby to have his batting percentage be good. And he's fine, but he's going to miss some too. And that's the way that GMing in the NBA is. That's what I say right there. And wins. It's like, look, the Raptors 905 are 14-0. Chucky and Elijah have been key to this. So they must have done something right with that part of the draft this summer. Is like, oh, Elijah Martin's adding up to helping a 14-0 victory. The winning factor from the University of Florida Atlantic is coming through. The winning factor from Chucky Hepburn, an undrafted player that we found out of nowhere, just like Jamison Battle, just like Justin Champagnie. There's a track record of us getting guys. I mean, we got Justin Champagnie out of Pitt, and he was undrafted, and he's still in the NBA on the Wizards. And undrafted guys are even worse than second-round guys to sticking around and staying in this league. You got to understand, not everything's a home run, Daniel. Not everything's supposed to work out exactly right. You're going to have a mixed result on everything. on everything. We have a good track record with Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, and people like that. That's what I'm saying right there. That's right. Randolph's saying, Lex, I'm frustrated with the consistent lack of appreciation of the team's success. A win is what matters, even if it's in a dogfight. I look for development and progression in our players. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I hate when fans are so negative and upset when we're actually winning. Like anybody who was upset during our 9-game win streak, just shut up. Anybody who's criticizing the 905, what the fuck are you saying? They're 14-0. Seriously, winning is what the goal is, right? And if we're winning, well, we should be happy as fans, right? And if you're nitpicking still, then when are you ever going to be happy? Is what I'm going to ask you. When are you ever going to be happy? That's right. Salute to Randolph. That's right. Hope you and your family are good. That's right. Neil's saying this. Mike Roach is spot on with the sports guest, but I can do without his brand of politics. I don't even know what he's talking about with politics. Has he gone political? I've never heard Mike Roach talking politics. I don't know. Maybe I'll pay more close attention to that, Neil. I've never really heard him get political on that channel. Either way, maybe I missed something. Yeah, Seymour saying, never heard of him. Research who? Mike Roach? Mike Roach is a production assistant for Sportsnet, and he sits next to Matt Devlin and Alvin Williams when they do the broadcast. He's like a guy who hands them stats and makes sure that things are hooked up. And he was the co-host of the Hustle Play podcast with Chris Boucher. He used to do that show with Chris, but then Yahoo closed that. And now Mike Roach is doing his own podcast. You probably should get Chris Boucher back on the show. That's what I was saying, man. Daniel's saying, I like Mobo. He's played 11 games for a grand total of 50 minutes. What are we doing? I want him to play more. He is playing more. That guy played 3 games in 4 days. It's just that you have a blind spot to 905. You have no idea what you're talking about with this. Jonathan Mobo's logged more minutes on a basketball court this season than anybody else in the Raptors. He's up there with Scottie and Brandon if you add his G League minutes in. Seriously, he's doing double duty. You're going to say he's only played 50 minutes on the NBA and that's all you see? Well, you're choosing to be blind because you're not looking at the G League level. And that's your own fault. Seriously, this sounds crazy to me. You're going to say he's wasting his time. You don't even know, man. You go talk to Jonathan right now. Man, I'm tired, bro. I've been doing double duty. I've been all over the place. They got me flying this way to that way to go from Raptors 905 to the Raptors. And I am seriously, you have no idea what you're talking about, Daniel, when it comes to 905. Just pause. If you are not watching these games, if you decide I don't care about 905, I only watch the Raptors, then don't opine on 905 affairs. Let me just say that, because that makes you sound really like you don't know what you're talking about. He's only played 11 games in 50 minutes the whole season. You don't have any idea what you're talking about. Let's just put it that way. That man is playing starters minutes on the 905, and he is getting tons of court time. Trust me. He's getting tons of court time. Yeah. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Where are we at with this? All right, y'all don't fill up anymore because I want to get done. It is way over 3 hours, and I don't like doing Lexathons anymore, guys. I really, really don't, and in some ways, that's it. Dude, Darko is playing 10 players max. They are developing Mobo. Every year, they target who they want to develop. That's right. They play 10 guys, and Jonathan's just on the cusp. I'm telling you, I don't understand how to explain this over and over again. Players get stashed on G League all the time for the big club, and they come back around, and they get used later. It's what's called development. This is what we're doing here. Yeah. What are they developing Mobo for? As a utility big that can do all kinds of things. And he's being successful right now. Are the Raps just a development team? Well, no, we're going to win too, because Darko's not just a development coach. When we get to the levels of competing for a championship, he's going to come pay off really good too. Then watch. Kaz is saying this. Let's not all jump on Daniel. Some of the things he's saying are valid points. I'm not trying to jump on him. It's just, in some ways, I will say once again, if you're not watching 905 games and understand what they are doing right now and how impressive they are, and if you think Jonathan Mobo's wasting his time, you absolutely do not know what you're talking about. I'll just say that right now. You have to watch G League if you want to have an opinion on Jonathan Mobo right now. Just trust me. You have to. Neil's saying this. Are you for real? This is a basketball organization. Everything is for basketball. That's right. There's no validity to these points. Raptors have plans for every player except for Garrett Temple. That's kind of funny. All right, I feel like I should give you a dunk. All right, I will. Neil, you're going to get another dunk. That's just stupid, man. 114. They got plans for Garrett Temple. He's hopefully going to be a coach. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Let's see. Kaz is saying comparing the talent level of the G League to the NBA doesn't really equal out. I get what you're saying, but in some ways, look, you're still getting professional level kind of like play, even if it's not the same exact level play. And it's not a waste of time. Trust me, nothing in the G League is a waste of time. Go ask Bruno Cabico. Seriously, none of this is a waste of time. G saying, as much as it's hard to admit it, Raptors are not historically a free agency destination. Therefore, they have to develop. Some will, but some won't. And they won a chip through draft, development, and trade. That's right. G's got a good point there. The CBA says they can only assign one regular player. Mobo took that assigned spot. If Battle gets injured, then he can go through 905 to prove he's healthy. I don't think that's the rule. It's just that Battle is being kept up on the main level to be part of the rotation for the main team at times. And I think it's partly because he showed such good stuff earlier in the season with that one game that Darko's like, yeah, I want to have the weapon of Battle on the main squad more often than down there this year. I think that's more of it. They could have Battle down there with Mobo, especially since he's only a 2-year player and he's an undrafted player. He could play on G League right now, and it doesn't have anything to do with two-way or having one assignment player. You can play guys that are within 3 years of the league can go down to G League. Grady is eligible for G League right now if they wanted to send him. He is eligible for G League right now if they wanted to send him. They'd have to ask his permission, I think, but he's eligible to go. Just so you know, there's no limit on how many young players from your squad can go to the development team. They can all go as long as they're within a certain years in the league. Scottie couldn't go because he's past it. I think Oshai's past it now too. Let's see. G saying this. There's a balance of developing and winning too. We can't have it always all the time. Some years will be more about developing players and some more about winning. Yeah, we're in a rebuild and development is kind of the mode we're in. That's exactly it right there. Daniel's saying, sorry, all I don't see it. 905 and Raptors are separate teams. I don't see anyone on the 905 making it to the main squad. I'd like more synergy. Well, if you don't watch the 905, how do you know? And they are not separate teams. This is not the way that Darko and Andrew Jones look at it. They've described this a couple of times this season as an extension of the Raptors roster. The 905 is an extension of the Raptors roster. It's just like in baseball. You've got the Blue Jays, you got AAA, you got AA, you got single A. There's levels in the organization, and it's all the same organization. And that's all this is. This is an extended roster for we can keep more guys stashed to come up and play on the team. And I'll tell you right now, if you have not watched the G League 905 and their 14-0 record right now, you have no idea how good these guys are. You would be shocked at how good some of them are. And if you watch the game today, hopefully you'll see it. But Daniel, if you have not watched a single minute of G League action this year, you have no credibility on the subject. I'm going to say this over and over again. And once again, they don't even like calling it going up or down between the teams. They correct people. If you come to them as a reporter and say, well, how does it feel to come down to the 905? Andrew Jones says, no, we do not look at it this way. This is all equal playing field across Raptors to Raptors 905. And Darko says the same thing. We don't use these words when we're transferring players between the G League team and the Raptors. It's not going up or down. It's a lateral move, and it's an extension to the side of the Raptors roster. That's conceptually how they view it. And that's the way they run it, too. And they're in close contact. Every single thing Andrew Jones is doing with Jonathan Mobo on the 905 is to help Darko for him to be on the Raptors level. That's what Andrew Jones has consistently said in the last year and a half of him being the coach of the 905. Everything I do is in service to the Raptors and helping the guys on our team be learning the systems and the way of style of play for the Raptors so that when they come up, they can be plugged in and play right away. And that's part of the reason why Chucky, Elijah, and AJ, when they show up on the Raptors, they don't look totally out of place and making dumbass mistakes because they're practicing it on 905 with Andrew Jones while they're down there. And if I had to explain this all to you, how the G League works with the Raptors, this is how it works. They're not totally separate things. They're extremely attached. They're extremely communicative between both teams. And there's absolutely a synergy between them. And describing them as separate teams, and you don't see anyone making the 905 making it, you're going to be absolutely wrong. in the near future. You're going to see it. And I'm going to call it out. I'm going to say this. I'll remember this, Daniel, because I have a very good memory. And in some ways, you don't want to put your flag in the moon saying this about the G League, and I'll remember it because I will come back and give you the receipt when it's not right. What you said is what's going to happen. That's what I'm saying. This is my point. Exactly. We need a center, but you're saying our 905 center can't be called up. What's the value of 905? Oh, man. Some ways you're just kind of confusing the argument. And in some ways, it's like, anyway, I just want to end this. This is a stale ass conversation. Okay. So if this continues more in the content, I want to finish. I'm like way over my time. I'm supposed to be doing 2 hours, and you guys got me on here for 3 hours and 20 minutes at this point. And in some ways, that's abusing my time because I give this time every day, and I only want to do 2 hours. And if you're in my chat, please understand, as you guys are part producers, to not extend my stream just for bullshit like this. We could do an educated period time where, all right, we need to educate people on 905, evidently, but let's limit it and try not to go over the same bullshit over and over again. That's right. That's right. That's right. So, yeah. So call him up. Let's get Reese. Yeah. Let's get Reese. I want to see what happens when we get Reese, and you'll see exactly I was right. Neil's saying this. So Pascal, Fred, Norman, and Powell had no synergy in the 905. See, that's the other thing. You don't understand the history of the Raptors with the Raptors 905 and where Fred, Jakob, Pascal, Norman, not OG, DeLon, so many different players come up through there. Chris Boucher came up through there. I mean, if you don't get G League, you just don't get G League, man. You just don't get G League, bro. Kaloy saying arguing about second rounders is just madness, especially when you have our record. Exactly. Daniel saying you hit on second rounder because you drafted a position of need, not another shooting guard. Anyway, just don't let this be a sticking point. And if you want to get in turmoil and be upset about Maxime Renaud for a while, go ahead, Daniel. That's your choice. I'm going to move past this and just allow reality to be reality and accept reality for what it is. And we'll go forward. But this is not worth firing Bobby Webster over. That's the whole point of this whole discussion right now. That's right. G's saying this. I like Reese, but he is likely foul prone in the big game. That's why I was saying we got to train him to not foul so much. It's just like every big has to learn this. This is part of the Odyssey. On the main squad, they will take him in foul trouble in minutes. He needs more time as maybe a third big or remain in G League. Yeah, I'll get with that. And I appreciate that, Daniel, saying he's going to stop. Go Raps. Yeah, because ultimately we're all Raptors fans. We want the same thing. And Daniel's got some, like G said, there's some good points he's making. But in some ways, I'm saying they're not totally necessary right now, is what I'm saying right now, too. But yeah, Reese, his fouls is going to be the biggest thing that's going to hinder him from getting to the big level and being on the Raptors. Seriously, we're just going to have to see how it goes. And he's very green. He's got to learn still, but he has a lot of promise. Just trust me. He has a lot of promise. Neil's saying we are looking for a veteran center. No one is looking for a rookie center. Exactly. And it's not like these guys grow on trees. There's a limited amount of good quality NBA centers in this league. Let's just put it that way. There's a scarcity. And that's part of the reason why there's just not a glut of them where we can just say, oh, this is go get this person. It's not like that, guys. It's really not like that. That's right. Yeah, happiness is not a destination. It's a journey. I love that. That's great words of wisdom right there. All right, Daniel, I'm going to give you a dunk. And seriously, man, there's no hard feelings here. This is just a lively conversation. And in some ways, we want to get all our opinions out. 36 on the dunk charts for Daniel Franklin. There you go. You got 36 now, my guy. Neil's saying this. CBA does have a cap on how many players can go done. Grady has to give permission to go to 905, while Mobo did not have to give his decision. Okay, I don't know the semantics or the rules exactly, but I do know early year players can go down there without any of these issues. And that's all I was saying. You tried to paint the picture as Jonathan's the assignment player and he's the only one. That's not true. If they want to send Battle down there or Walter, they can do that. Let's see. Daniel saying, I hope you do call it out. I hope I'm wrong. I just don't see it. Well, either way, I don't want to have to call you out, and I won't do that, but I do keep receipts. And basically what I'll say, I won't call you out by name. I'll just say, hey, guys, one of the 905 guys got called up finally, and they're in the big league. And it may not be on our team. It could be that one of our guys gets called to another NBA team. I'm just saying. And then you'll say, oh, well, why are we developing for other guys and stuff like that? Well, that's the G League. That's just the way it is. And it's about opportunity and space on teams and what they're trying to build and if it makes sense. And sometimes you can't just keep all your assets. You can't Oklahoma City. You can have all the draft picks in the world, but you're not going to be able to keep everybody. And there's going to be waste on your team to a degree. but also at the same time, you want to maximize the good players. And when you find them, and you want to hold on to them. That's the other part of it too. Yeah, that's the other part of it. Neil's saying there's also a cap before the 3 two-way contracts on 2 regular players that can be assigned. I only see 1 regular player now around the league unless players are rehabbing. Yeah, in some ways, that's part of like dancing with the apron and the salary cap stuff that Bobby's got to do already. And he'll figure it out. It's at the end of the year that he has to have it balanced. Y'all, real quick, Nutella, straight goods on the Canadian goods. You know, Nutella is made here in Ontario at Brantford. They have a plant. And almost all the Nutella you see in the store is actually manufactured here in Ontario at Brantford. So yeah, it is technically a European company, and but you know it's a great sweet snack, something to put on your bread or toast or whatever you want. Nutella. It's kind of Canadian because the Nutella plant is in Brantford and it's proudly prepared here, guys. And they've been preparing it here in Canada since 2006. So yeah, they have a plant and they employ people here in Ontario to make this stuff. So Nutella, buy Nutella, support Canada. That's what I'm saying right there. All right, let me get through the rest of my tabs real quick. I don't care about Raptors Reddit. We've done enough reacting right here. Is there any breaking news about the Raptors on Blue Skies? I don't see any there. We got to say a happy birthday to a Raptors legend. He's one of the guys who's in the We the Raptors book. It's a chapter on him. It's Jorge Garboza. Jorge Garboza was a Spanish legend who came to the NBA late in his career. He played for the Raptors for 2 seasons, and he played 74 games. He started 60 of them, and he averaged 8 points a game for us. He was a huge add-on for our team from Europe, a friend of Jose Calderon, who came here and helped us become a playoff team right away. Is really interesting rookie because he came in his late 20s, and he was very much a vet, and he had a huge impact on our team. And of course, Jorge Garboza had the very sad injury that messed up his career where he broke his leg that one game in a very horrific accident on the NBA court where his friend Jose Calderon was holding him and saying it's going to be all right. And he was in agony. Of course, we've seen Garboza in open gym episodes and stuff like that recently, talking about how much he loves Toronto and his time being on the Raptors. So we say happy birthday to Jorge Garboza, a great Raptors legend, a Spanish legend who has turned 48 today on this December the 19th today. He's a Spanish legend for them nationally as a team. His highlights are NBA All-Rookie first team. He was an All-Rookie team as a veteran coming in so low. He was Mr. Europea in Europa in 2006. He's all EuroLeague first team, EuroLeague Steals Leaguer, a FIBA Saporta Cup champion, a Liga champion. He's a Spanish Cup 2-time winner. He's a Liga Finals MVP. He's all Liga team twice. He's Spanish Cup MVP. He's Italian Cup winner. He's 2-time Italian Super Cup winner, and he's an Italian Cup MVP. So this man's got accolades like crazy. He loves our team. He loves his chapter with the Toronto Raptors, and he wouldn't change anything about coming here, even with that injury. So happy birthday to Jorge Garboza, a great Raptors legend. All right, y'all. Once again, get your fantasy team set up. Let's get that classic card, and let's get out of here, y'all. Let's get out of here. I'm in overtime today, baby. I'm going to do 3.5 hours, which is crazy. And in some ways, we're going to get a card here right now. I don't want that one. I want an easier card right now. Okay, yeah, this is perfect. All right, guys, here's the classic card of the day. First person to write the full name answer will get the classic card points. Come on, I'll put that right there. How hard is that? How hard is that? That's pretty dang easy. If you know this classic card player, you can get it. He's on a team he's not on anymore. So if you write in the full name answer, you get the card, the name. Who is that, guys? We know who this is. Hello. That's right. It's Kyrie Irving with the 7 in there. I don't care, Fiercey. You're going to get the Kyrie card. And it's 50 points for a Kyrie Irving classic card of the day. Yeah, Kyrie's been the classic card a couple times. No big deal. Kyrie Irving, and it's Fiercey. Fiercey, you are the leader in the trivia points, so you're just adding to your lead with 50 trivia points for Kyrie right there. All right, guys, thanks for watching me today. Once again, thanks for watching the Raptors. Oh, Omari's here. Check on your fantasy team, Omari. Raptors beating the Bucks last night. Fantastic job. Brandon and Scottie, top 2 stars. Sandro Mamu, also Oshai Abaji, and Emmanuel Quickley were my stars today at 3:30, and very soon, in like 2.5 hours, the Raptors 905 will play a very meaningful game in Orlando against the San Diego Clippers in the tip-off tournament. It's a knockout round, so it's do or die. Win today, you go forward. If you lose, you're out. So Andrew Jones, you've gone perfect, 14-0 so far. This is a huge game right here. It's like, yeah, Omari saying been silent because I'm working, but I love the classic card. There you go, Omari. Salute to you, man. Only the best to you, man. I hope you're striving and achieving and doing all your goals that you have set in front of you, my guy. Always thinking about you and wishing the best for everything you face, my man. And if you guys have any kind of realtor stuff you want to do, call up Omari. Omari is a realtor. He can help you find a house. He can help you find an apartment. Just look up Omari Parsons in the GTA. He works mostly on the west side of the GTA over towards the 905 and around that way. So, yeah, I love you too, brother. And I hope you're staying strong and only good things are happening for you always, my guy. And call me anytime you need to. You know you can. You know you can. All right, let's go Raptors 905 and beat San Diego Clippers. I'll be back tomorrow with the Boston Celtics preview tomorrow. Let's go.